What's going on, everybody? My name's Danny, aka Captain Sin. This is Chattin With Captain, recorded live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Captain Sin. We're sitting here with the vocalist for Kissing Candice, Joey Simpson, aka Aunt Donna. How's it going?
How's it going? How's it going, man? How's it going?
It's
Pretty stoked to be here.
I appreciate it. It's been good. It's been fun. I usually like to start these off asking the first album that influenced you to go down the life path that you're on right now.
Oh my god. I could blame that on Slipknot self-titled, man. As soon as I heard the music, I saw the album art. It was just like, boom. Like, this is... I don't know what this is. I don't know... Before, if you rewind just a little bit more, I never was super into music. Like, oh, this was my favorite band growing up. My father loved like Rolling Stones and shit like that. So I've always been around music. He's a big Beatles fan, but I never wanted to pursue some sort of musical kind of endeavor. I always liked kind of like entertainment stuff. Like, I don't mind being the center of attention, and always like I love like magic, like illusions, tricks, things like that. So I liked what you call a horrible amateur magician, like just stupid little things. I'm always tinkering with something. So I always just kind of grew up like just in that kind of. I don't mind being the center of attention. So through high school and stuff, it was just like I never really had a huge interest. I listened to like a little bit of Pantera and Metallica and my friend group and everybody. And then it was just like my buddy Paul was like, yo, you ever hear these guys fucking Slipknot? And I'm like, is it okay to curse, by the way?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. He's like, you ever hear these guys Slipknot? And I'm like, no. And he handed me the CD, like back when CDs were a thing. And I remember looking at that CD and just seeing that cover, and I'm like, these guys dress like this, like on stage? And he's like, yeah. And this is, I couldn't just pull up my smartphone and look on YouTube or anything. So it was like, okay, so these guys are a band. So, so going down the rabbit hole, I remember the first visuals I saw them, again, a VHS fucking tape, and it was them, 1999 Detroit in Harpos. And it was a 2-camera mix, and it was, horrible quality. But you got to see these guys on stage and hear it live and see it, and I'm like, this is something that really hit me here and here. And that slowly built, I got to learn music. I got to learn how to do this shit, like integrate it with my ideas and just kind of go. And here I am, decades later, wearing a mask, in a band.
Right.
So it's just crazy how one CD, one piece of music could alter everything. 'Cause I don't know where I would be right now if I didn't get my hands on that CD. It's weird.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like that's life for the most part. Like one instance can change everything. Like my first concert was Kiss when I was 8. So seeing that at 8 years old with the pyro and all that shit, that was just like life changing at that point. And that was down the rabbit hole it went.
Yeah, man. Kiss is fucking, again, like even a band like that, it opened up the doors to, okay, what else is gimmicky? What else is makeup and masks? And my first show was Halloween night 2000, Hammerstein Ballroom, New York City. It was Mudvayne when Mudvayne was LDT. Oh yeah, Hatebreed and fucking Slipknot. And I just again remember being up in the balcony because I didn't know anything about concerts. I just saw a ticket and bought it online. Me and my 2 friends went, and that anticipation of hearing the intro playing and then hearing it, for months at a time, and all of a sudden there they are on stage, and it was just like it hit me home. I was like, this is bananas. Didn't know what to look at first. I'm looking all around and taking it in, and again that set me on that path, because after then it was like, oh, let's start a band. Let's be crazy and fucking crazy.
That's like, I feel like there's a lot of bands out there that don't try to do an actual stage show as much as just like, hey, we're going to go out there, we're going to be really good at our music, but they don't do anything while they're on stage. So that's like, I'm more into the bands that actually have something like visual as well as good music. Like Ghost is my favorite band now. Like,
great.
yeah. And seeing them live is just like, they do 3 or 4 costume changes a night, and there's just all the stuff. Like, it sticks with you more to have the visual and the audio together.
It does. It gives you more of an experience, you know. And like I always say, and I don't rag on anybody, but anybody can come out on stage in your favorite band T-shirt and a pair of jeans and fucking nail that song like as if you put the fucking if you push play on the CD player or whatever it's streaming it, but to add elements in it to make this thing grow is out of control,
Oh yeah.
out of control. And I've always that was always a goal was just I've been in and out of bands forever since pretty much high school, and it's just like I always wanted something where it was on a grand scale and working up to that.
Right, right. So, was that like when did the first idea to have a masked band come about for you?
Well, Kissing Candice, it was always like an idea like on the back burner, and I was originally in a band called Dr. Acula. I was like the
Oh yeah,
keyboardist,
yeah.
the sample guy, the party metal, and it was great. I joined up with those guys. I did 2 albums with them, did a bunch of tours, and towards the end of the one tour cycle, when things started popping and the band started getting a little popular, it was just internal problems were imploding. And me being, I don't really say straight edge anymore, but not drinking, not partying, just, you know. So I was in a band called Dr. Acula, and keyboards. And towards the end of my time in the band, the fame started getting a little bit. We started hitting that peak, and again, straight edge, whatever you want to call it, it got too much for me, so I kind of parted ways. And it was always an idea that I wanted to do something theatrical. I love haunted houses. I love horror. I want to mix everything into one. So originally it was just going to be myself with a bunch of props and a MacBook on stage, and I was just going to scream to the tracks and maybe throw on some masks and stuff. And when I went to the studio with a producer, Jeremy, who actually did one of the Dr. Acula records, as we started writing this music and I started kind of pouring my ideas to him, he's like, dude, you need to get a band. Like, you need to, if you're going to do this, do it right. So we started, once I recorded the EP with him, I started recruiting band members, and everybody that I recruited, I was like, listen, like, this is horror themed. Like, we could wear horror shirts on stage. Like, we could do blood, we could do makeup, whatever it was. So in the early days, we just did, bruises, cuts. We would pour blood on ourselves, and we did a couple of tours like that. And we noticed that by like the 3rd song in, we would sweat it off. So it would look sick when we walked out on stage, but it would just, half the makeup would be off, the blood would be off. So after a while, we always entertained that mask, but it was like, Slipknot and Mushroom Head and this and that. And our guitar player Dreamer showed up to rehearsal with just these clear, like, impersonator, I call them like bank robber masks.
Mm.
And he had 5 of them, and he just kind of handed everybody one, and I cut the mouth out, and we put them on during rehearsal, and we were all like looking at each other like, this feels right. Like, let's just run with it. So like the next week we did new promos and we released them with a new EP, and it was like people liked it. Of course we had the backlash like, oh, you guys are fucking Slipknot wannabes.
Yeah.
I still got it till this day, but at that moment it was just like, this feels right. So we just kept, like a freight train still going forward. Fast forward from 2012 to now, I'm wearing a custom mask made by a horror legend, Tom Savini, which I never thought in my wildest dreams I would,
crazy.
I'd be wearing one. So,
how did you get linked up with him?
So Tom Savini and his assistant Jason Baker, they did The Fiend from WWE.
Right.
That fucking sick mask.
Yeah, it's so sick.
They did Corey Taylor's mask. They did a mask for the drummer for Code Orange. I started seeing that they were dabbling in that world, so I reached out to Jason and I was like, hey man, I'm a mask band. Check us out if you're interested. We have a new album cycle coming up. I would love to work with you and Tom. So he checked out my stuff and he hit me back and he's like, yeah, it looks interesting. I'm like, listen, we were doing like a small headliner. I was like, our last show is in Ohio. They're in Pittsburgh. I'm like, why don't you come out, check out the show, meet me. We could shoot some ideas, and if you like it, we could work together. So he ended up coming out by himself, hanging out, checked out the show. He loved it. He's like, I'm going to take this information back. I'm going to go talk with Tom, and, I'll give you a shout if, we want to take on the project. Like a week later, He shot me an email. He's like, let's do it. We, talked on the phone. And then I live part time in New York, and then I live part time in Vegas. So we were driving back to Vegas. So I'm like, do you care if I drop by? I want to meet Tom. Like, I want to kind of discuss everything. So he's like, yeah, come meet me at Tom's house. I went to fucking Savini's house,
Oh
which my
gosh, that's
mind was
crazy.
fucking blown. Like, if there was ever goals for a house, that's who it is. And yeah, we were spitballing ideas, and then this is one variation of the mask that they made. They made another one which I haven't revealed to the public yet. And then I flew back out to Pittsburgh a couple months later to try the mask out and make some alterations. So I'm like, sick, like new album, new masks, like let's fucking do this. And then all of a sudden, the world got shut down.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Has it been like hard as a touring band to deal with the pandemic in general? Like,
It's frustrating. Number one, we have an entire album that we've been sitting on for last month. It was exactly 1 year that we recorded an entire full length
oh
album.
wow.
It's been 1 year since we did new promos with the new masks, and we have not been able to show the world on stage what we can do. So we've been releasing. We released 2 singles and 2 music videos, but it's still not the same. So,
Right.
now the kids are like, oh, you guys got an album out. When is the, a new album? When is it coming out? So we're gonna have the album out before the new year. Who knows if we're gonna be touring by then? Like, it's just
Right, right. Yeah, the world's
it's
just crazy.
yeah, it sucks.
Do you think that how quick do you think it'll all come back, really? Like,
What was that?
how quick do you think it's all going to come back?
Oh, dude.
Because it seems like a lot of places, there's a lot of states right now that are already like dropping their mask mandates and
Yes.
starting to get things rolling, but I don't know if they're
see bands, some of our friends' bands that are starting to announce, tour South Florida into Texas, and that's awesome. But it's like us as a band, we talk about this every time. We feel like it's a little too early to just be like, boom, tour time. Like, let's just do it. Like, it's a process getting back into it. It's going to be like stretching your legs and then maybe doing like a week or so and then feeling it out, because there's going to be so many new guidelines that it's never going to go back to, and that's the sad thing, and I hope it does, but me personally, it's like I feel like it's never going to go back to that tight, packed against the barrier, breathe. I got a 300-pound dude screaming
yeah.
the lyrics, and I don't mind, like, I feel like that's not going to be a thing.
I think a lot of people are going to be like freaked out about being in
Yes.
groups like that.
Yes.
Like Corey Taylor is on tour next month or the month
Yes.
after already, and I'm like, dude, that's really early. And I guess what he's doing is there's going to be tables set up all through the venue, and people are going to be sitting at tables throughout the venue. I'm like, is that even like a show though? I mean, like, it's not the same experience. It's just
Right? Is it like a speakeasy or something? Like,
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, I get it, and everybody's getting that itch to play again, and we want that. Let's get the shows back, and I want it more than just as much as the next band, but it's like it's got to be done smart, and it's like how fast is it going to get back to that real concert feel where you go in, and it's not like, oh well, the barricade's here, and then there's a divider, and then like that's how I feel it might be for bands with huge crowds that come, and like I don't think it's going to be that immersive right away, at least.
Right. I feel like it's going to be to the point to where people are going to get too antsy, and they're going to be like, oh, I got to get out now, and then shit's just going to end up going backwards, and then we're going to have to wait even longer because people are just too impatient to wait it out.
Yeah, and we're fucking impatient. And it's not only because we have all this new stuff; it's the fact that this band is always found a way to move forward. We've had van problems like you would not believe, and we've made it work. We've had booking agent problems and this problems and venue problems, and we've always seemed to just hit it in the face and keep going. And it's like this is literally the first time where there's a roadblock that we can't control. We
Right.
can't do a single thing to go around it, to go above it, below it. It's just we gotta just hit it in the face. And there's other ways, doing live streams and things like that. And it's like that's great, but it's like you spend all this money on it. Yeah, you could show the world, the live sound, but it's like I want that fucking experience. And I don't care if there's 10 kids in the crowd or 100. It's just that feeling of being right there.
Oh yeah, the energy that the energy back and forth between the crowd. Yeah, that's
Yes.
a huge
Yes.
thing, 100%. So your guys' new single is like a really like a departure from I guess your signature sound, I guess, like more of an experimental sound. Is that going to be
Yeah.
like a new thing going forward, or is that just for this song for now?
That well, we kind of took it because we were like, okay, cool, we got, we were doing a full length, so let's really play around and see what we got. So that kind of song just kind of happened. Like we knew we wanted to do a super complete, instrumental kind of thing. No drums, no guitars, like weird vocals. So when we started piecing it together with our producer Zach Jones, we were just kind of approaching it head on, but kind of being cautious. We didn't want it to sound too much like A, B, or C.
Mm,
It's got hints of, Nine Inch Nails influence and this influence, but we wanted to make sure that it was still our formula, our KC sound, but still being completely different. So we knew we wanted it to be dark. We knew we wanted it to be super sexy and disgusting and gross. The song, so the video could match it. Because we're always thinking about that. Like if we're writing a song, in my head, it's like how will the video look and what could we do live on stage to integrate it. So my wheels are always turning. So as soon as Dreamer, which was the clean vocalist, him and I go back and forth all the time about the lyrics. We're always bouncing shit off of each other. So we're like, let's just stay on like this kind of BDSM, like sexy, super sleek kind of sound and lyric, vibe and flow. And we came out the other end with this song, and when we dropped it, um, everybody was like, "This is so different, but it's great."
right. Um, I feel like anymore it seems like bands just try to stick to their same sound all the time. So it's really
Yes.
refreshing to have a band that actually tries to like go out of the norm. But it seems like I don't know, fans these days are just like, oh well, you didn't do a fucking drop G breakdowny shit on this one. I don't want to listen to it, and it's like, why? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like when we were, when we were structuring it, we were like, all right, let's just not add any guitars at the end or like a breakdown or like let's just keep it straightforward and hit you with it and let's see where it is. And on the album, I can't really say too much about
Right.
it, but there's a couple of oddball songs that we were like, let's try it. And of course, bands always say this is our best work yet, and they get pumped on it, which is great. But for us, it's like we took what you've heard and kind of just moved it to the side. It's still got the heaviness and the Casey elements that everybody likes, but it's like we pushed our way this way instead of going towards okay, we need to have four breakdown songs, a radio friendly song. This we were just like let's just write and see what happens. So
Right.
we came out the other end super happy and proud. So
That's always the best thing. Like, because you get those bands that do the same stuff all the time, and then they just look like they're fucking miserable because
yeah,
they're not expressing themselves. And then you get like people split off and do their own stuff. But um, and that's why bands like Slipknot and Mudvayne and all those bands are still around because they changed their sound and they went and did what they wanted to do. So that's why those bands
yes.
have lasted for over 20 years now.
And someone like Slipknot that started with self-titled where it's raw and fucking pissed and evil, and then you got the evolution of their sound. But at the end of the day, if you pick apart every album and all those songs, it's still the Slipknot formula. It's just they're growing. And that's what we are. We're growing. Like most of us are metalcore kids and grew up, at Bleeding Through and Atreyu and Nine Inch Nails and Manson. Like we come, all of us as musicians, we come from such an odd background of music. But when we get together, we just understand it. Like our bass player loves Nine Inch Nails and and Manson and shit. I'm Manson, Slipknot, Zombie. Our drummer is total like degent stuff. August Burns Red and Architects, all that. Our other guitarist, Dreamer, he loves like Dream Theater and Prague and all that. So it's like when we take all those influences and kind of mush them, you kind of get like a KC paste that you could just like splatter all around, but it makes sense.
Right, right. It's funny because I actually met your drummer God, what year was it? The last year of Cornerstone, way back in the day. I can't remember what band he was in at the time.
Blood of the Martyrs?
That was it. Yes.
Yep. Yep.
Because I was doing merch for my roommate's band at the time. So I was touring with them, and then they met up and toured at the same time. So I actually met him, God, that was almost 10 years ago, I think, at this point. That's crazy.
We toured with them in the early days with Blood of the Martyrs. We did and they were Christian, deathcore. I mean, a great band, super talented.
100%.
And he's a machine. Like, we call him the Machine because he's zoned in. And we did a couple of shows with them, and then, fast forward, I think 2 years or 3 years, we needed a drummer, and Dreamer, a guitar player, was like, I'm just going to reach out to him, and just because they weren't doing much. And his first tour shows with us was Mayhem Fest, Rockstar Mayhem Fest. So he came aboard, and we knew as a drummer, phenomenal. Like, he could play our shit, with his eyes closed. We just weren't sure, him coming from a Christian band and kind of like that background, coming to us that, pissing bottles while we're driving and, you know what I'm saying, fucking, talk about dick and fart jokes. It's like, but he meshed right with us, and he's, still to this day, he's the machine.
He's super talented, yeah. What do you think a common misconception people have about you is?
As far as for the band, the masks, or
yeah.
A lot of people like to say that we're trying to be the next Slipknot. We're biting their style, because we wear masks. Now, yes, we wear masks, but if you pull that apart, I don't want to be Slipknot. I don't want to be anything. I don't want to sound like them. I don't want to look like them. The only thing I want to do is I want to be able to grab that fucking torch for the masked bands and walk with it and be in line with, all those guys. Mushroomhead, we toured with them, and you know what? They're some of the nicest fucking guys on the planet. Like, we did the Summer of Screams tour with them, and certain days, they were on a bus, and the venue didn't have a green room or had one green room. They would give it to us, and they would get dressed on their bus because they understand we're trying to get dressed in 90-degree weather in a trailer.
Right.
So it's like they understand what we're doing, and they gave us a lot of tips on that tour, whether it was, weathering our costumes or with the straps or putting it on. I'll never forget the first time that we were playing a home show here in New York, and we opened for Mushroomhead. Before we toured with them, before it was even in the works, and Stitch, who I'm so super close with, he's the keyboardist. He came up to me, and he's like, remember something. He's like, monsters don't wear wristbands. And I looked at him, and he's like, and he grabbed my wrist, and I was wearing one of those stupid green bracelets to let you know that you're in a band.
Yeah.
And he's like, monsters don't wear wristbands. And he ripped it off. And he's like, just remember, you're head to toe decked out. He's like, you got photographers taking pictures. He's like, the last thing you want to see is you screaming and a green wristband when you look awesome. He's like, it just kills that immersion of being your character. And from that day on, whenever, right before we're about to go on stage, we do like our little huddle and get together, and we all point like, monsters don't wear wristbands, reminding each other. And it's so fucking true, And it's like, if you're gonna do a mass band, I love it. I want everybody to do it. But as learning, and I'm doing it since 2012, really, end of 2012, wearing masks. One thing that I learned, and I'm still learning, is you got to do it right, because it could be super butchered and super cheesy, and that's how you get a bad name. And a big thing that we get is when we're doing like small headliners and stuff, and the promoter is putting locals on the show, he sticks us with masked bands.
Right.
Which is great. Don't get me wrong. I like seeing what other people are doing, but it's like, they'll ask for my advice, and I'm brutal, and I'm like, listen, like, it looks good, but you gotta worry. Like, if you want this mask to be bloody, make it interesting. Don't just go to Party City and buy a plastic mask, throw blood on it, and like, work on it. This way, you don't give all of us a bad name.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, spend some money, put some thought into what you're trying to achieve, instead of just saying like, oh, I want to kind of be like another masked band. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all gotta be one formula. So a lot of people think that because we're pushing so hard that we want to be a Slipknot, or we're trying to rip Slipknot off. And I see the comments, and I breeze right past them, especially now of getting it. But every now and then I'll be like, listen, until the day that there's 9 people in my band, we're on stage in fucking coveralls singing a song called Wait and Bleed. I'm like, then please kick the shit out of me and call me Slipknot, but don't do it now. We're
Right.
nothing like them.
Right. And I mean, there's been like, gosh, you got Guar was around before any of them, and
And
like,
they're still strong.
yeah, and no one, yeah, it's like, do you feel like you get pigeonholed in a way into like that because you're a masked band?
Yes, it's like one of the hardest things, and we're still kind of battling with it. Is with like promoters, with agents, with managers. They're trying to take us, and we're a hard sell. Like being in a mass band is hard because you pitch it to a tour package and you say mass band, and they're like,
Right.
you really got to sell us like, yo, these guys are, you know, I had probably about $15,000 worth of production that I've accumulated over 10 years. Fog machines, bubble machines, snow machines, moving lights. Like, that's my production because I want our show to be the best it can. You know,
Mhm.
this mask made by Tom Savini, I didn't have to reach out. I didn't have to pay what I paid for this mask, but I want it to be taken serious. I want the music and the image to reflect one another.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It's all got to coexist. So, we like to try to break out of we're just a mass band, like we're a horror mass band, we call it. We have songs about horror movies, but it's like no matter what you'll always be kind of in that little pot of
Right.
you guys are a mass band, but it's like we're much more than that, you know what I'm saying? And we try to show everybody that.
Right. 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 Um, what was like the first horror movie you saw as a child that really got you into horror?
I remember on cable TV. Now this is I don't want to say my age, I don't want to spoil it, but there used to be on the East Coast, New York, growing up in New York, there was it was channel I think 18 at the time, and it was called USA Up All Night, and it was hosted by Gilbert Gottfried.
Hmm.
And it started at like I think 8 or 9 o'clock. If you YouTube it and you YouTube USA Up All Night, it's the trailers still play, and it was hosted by him, and they would play like it would go from like I think 8 or 9 o'clock until like 3 or 4 in the morning, and it would be like two horror movies or three horror movies back to back, whatever they could fit in that time frame. But it was the classics, Friday the 13th, Freddy, Jason. Then they had like Clash of Nukem High. They had Toxic
Oh
Avenger.
yeah.
Like they had like a nice, and this was Saturday night. So I remember as a kid watching this shit and seeing Michael Myers come through that closet when she's hiding in the closet and just being so intrigued by it. Like I'm fucking petrified, but I still want to watch. It's not like I'm turning it off or I'm going to cry to my mom or something. I'm like, this is interesting. So as time progressed, I mean, I remember going into this store called Cheap John's, which was over by me, again, way back when, and they would have the Halloween section, and it was like I was so fucking scared of these rubber masks hanging on the wall, but I had to go and see them. So like I'd be like holding on to my mom and my sister, like walking, and I wanted to look at them, but like I didn't understand what was going on.
Mhm.
But I remember seeing them like it was yesterday, and it's just like the curiosity was always there. So as I got older, I just fell more and more in love with it, and then working in haunted houses, and then learning about special effects, and then versus the CGI stuff versus the practical
Mhm.
effects. That's that's my thing. But it's like you just kind of evolve. But yeah, I started off with the classics. Freddy, Jason, those guys were just like I was so intrigued by it.
And that's like I've always said that my favorite horror movie, well, movies, it's tied, is the original Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. It's tied up because back then the actor had to be scary. He had to act it out because there weren't any effects, and I feel like that's lost today because everything
Yes,
is just computer generated and it's just meh.
it's it's such a it's such a big thing, and again, I don't want to sound like that old guy saying, "Oh, that they don't understand today," but it's so true because technology and everything is moving so fast that you could lose track of it. But you know, you see a kill from movies from the 80s and the 90s where they slit the throat, the fucking head goes back and blood comes everywhere. And a lot of people don't know that there's a motherfucker that's 20 feet off to the side with a big syringe and a gallon of blood that's pumping
Pumping
that
that
shit
shit.
out. And then you got the actor that's, and it's like, this is fucking great. And then Nowadays, it's like, okay, just edit in the fucking blood. It's like, it
Yeah.
looks good, but it doesn't look like it looked then. And then you show people nowadays, and it's just like, oh, that's shitty quality. It looks dumb. That shit. What about the makeup artist that applied the fucking
Mhm.
slit that had to blend all those edges and just it's mind blowing. And I love that. And there's not enough of it. And a perfect example. My dogs and cats are killing each other. My perfect example of that movie that has come out in the last 10 years is the remake of Evil Dead.
Oh yeah, that was so good.
That was all real blood. That was all, practical effects. And it's like, that's what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
that is
such a good movie.
so great. I mean, it was gross, it was graphic, but again, everything was the prosthetic. When she's cutting her arm off, they actually blacked out her arm here, and it's behind her back, and that's a fake prosthetic hanging off. And I actually stumbled upon that picture a couple days ago on a horror Instagram page, and I'm like, that's what I love to see. I
Yeah.
love it. And walking through Savini's house, he's showing me things that, Fluffy, the animatronic
Mm.
from uh, uh, fucking Creepshow.
Yeah.
He's showing me like the puppet and the mechanisms of the eye, and I'm like, I grew up watching this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like this is great. The dick gun from fucking Dusk Till Dawn. I happened to mention that, and Jason's like, because Jason's there with us. He's like, I think that's still downstairs in your closet, Tom. And sure enough, he runs down, he gets it, he comes up, and Tom just hands it right to me, and he's telling me how they made it go up in the movie, and they put flash paper in it, and they fired it, and here I am standing here with my mind fucking blown as the guy who played the part and wore it, and it's just overwhelming. So yes, Tom Savini, he nowadays he's known the newer generation. Oh, he made Corey Taylor from Slipknot's Mask.
Yeah.
It's like no, yeah, he did, but do you
Right.
realize that he did Friday the 13th, Dawn of the Dead? Like this man is responsible for blowing up people's fucking heads and decapitating them and cutting their limbs off. Like that's what it's all about.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I'm trying to think. I think the last horror movie that I saw that was really digital that I enjoyed was probably Cabin in the Woods.
I was just gonna fucking say that. Yes,
Cabin in the
yes,
Woods was so
yes.
fucking good. I loved that movie.
I'll watch it a couple times in a month. If
Yeah.
it's on like I think it's on Hulu right now or something. I'll be doing something. I'll just have that on in the background. It's such a good fucking movie.
Mhm.
Well played movie. Like that's what I call well played.
Yeah, and then they actually had quite a few like actual practical effects. Like they had the zombies in that movie and like all this like yeah, a lot of that was actually practical, which was good.
Refreshing,
Yes.
refreshing, and the storyline was cool, and that I'm all about that. Like when something is one way, and then the end of the movie it's another way, and it's got that twist. I live for those
Oh
kind of
yeah.
movies. So seeing that movie, I'm like, oh my god, like this is so fucking cool. Like this is the best. So yeah, what a great fucking movie.
Oh yeah. And then it's like it seems like anymore there's just too many remakes as well. Yeah.
How many times are they going to literally remake Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Like
Yeah.
I I don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it. Like
Right.
the classic was good, and then part two was great, and then three was great. Then Texas Chainsaw Generation was great. I enjoyed it, but then it was just like remake 3D. This one, then the beginning, and it's like, and don't get me wrong, Texas Chainsaw the remake, and then the beginning with the Sheriff Hoyt that was played by the dude from
Oh,
Full Metal Jacket.
Arlie
The
Ermy.
girls. Yes,
Yes.
that was fucking great. He played that sheriff. Anybody else that played that sheriff would have tanked it. He nailed it.
Mhm.
Great, like that was fucking great. But again, it was just like, leave it there. You didn't have to come out with Texas Chainsaw 3D, with a completely different storyline with that other chick in it. It's
Right.
like,
Then like the 3D movies seem like they've died completely. I know that was a huge thing, and some of the horror 3D. I mean, I get it, like but it's I don't know. I think the whole 3D thing, it's like it seems like it's something that comes and goes every so many years.
yes, absolutely. It's like, oh, this 3D, and then it's like it doesn't catch as much steam, and it's like, oh shit, and then it's just like, well,
Right.
like I don't know. I don't think 3D took, and I don't think it's gonna take as much as people want it to take. Like Jackass 3D. I saw that in the theaters. That was like that was genius. I enjoyed that 3D movie. You know, like that was something I enjoyed.
The biggest problem I think with 3D movies is that you can't experience it at home unless you spend all this ridiculous amount of money on a 3D setup for yourself. Because if you go back and you watch those movies not in 3D, it's like, oh, okay, this was supposed to pop out at my face, but it's not. So it's kind of just like you lose the immersion.
Yes, 100%. So it's like, not again, 3D horror movie. Yes, like I think what was back in the day, Freddy's Dead. I think that was like part of that was in 3D when she puts the glasses on when she goes into the dream at the end of Freddy's Dead. Again, super cheesy, the red and blue glasses, but for that time, that was the best fucking thing. It's like it came with the VHS tape, so you couldn't wait to get home, put it in, and fucking watch it. And the 3D was horrible, but you loved it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It was the experience of it.
Yes.
Yes. As far as remakes go, I think I enjoyed the Friday the 13th remake. It wasn't bad.
Yes. That was the one that came out not recent, but
it
not
was a
long
little
ago.
while ago. It had the dude from Supernatural in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Again, one of those movies where I watched it, I checked it out, and they left it there. Like they made a remake, and then that was it. I don't think they remade Friday the 13th again, did they? They only did that one?
No, I think they've been fighting. They've been fighting with the ownership to do another one because I think it went back to the original owners now, and they don't want anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I completely fucking understand that at this point. Like, you have beat it into the ground now.
Like Halloween, there's another perfect example. Like, listen, Rob Zombie, I fucking love Rob Zombie. His music, his show, everything great. House of a Thousand Corpses, phenomenal. And then it was just like slowly, like I'm not crazy. I'm not in love with it. I don't get a wow factor like I did when I first saw House of a Thousand Corpses.
Right.
Halloween, the remake, cool. They made them badass. The kills were badass. But then the second one, I feel like they dug too much into everything, and it was just like
he Rob Zombied it.
Yes. And it's like, oh, come on, dude. 3 from Hell, that's the same thing. Like, it was just like, just kind of let it be. Let those characters be. They were shining stars in House of a Thousand. Just let's let it hang out there.
A Devil's Rejects ended so perfectly. Like, that was it. Leave it there.
That's what I was missing. Yes, that's what I was missing. Devil's Rejects. So, yeah, again, fucking you got, fucking House of a Thousand. Devil's Rejects was good. Like, it wasn't bad. And then that's it. They're dead. Like, case closed.
Yes.
Next.
Leave it.
Yeah. So it's, and I read forums and on Reddit and horror groups on Facebook, and people are like in love with it. And it's just like, it's not that good. The Rob Zombie Halloweens, and then you got the next Halloween remake, and then Halloween Kills coming out this. Yeah.
I didn't mind the last one.
No, it was with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. He was so badass. Again, good kills. They didn't go too much into one, life trauma experience with Michael. So it was cool. But it was definitely well done. So I'm excited for it, but it's like, let's kill it and then let's let that breathe and let Michael Myers rest.
Yes.
Put him to rest.
Speaking of Rob Zombie movies, I'd have to say Lords of Salem was the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Horrible. I will never get that time back. And I don't say that about a lot of movies, but that was just like one of those movies where I was like, I'm so lost. And again, I'm like a goldfish in a tank. If it doesn't got my attention,
Yep.
So that was just one of those movies.
I bought that movie. I'm so disappointed. But granted, I paid like $2 for it at the video store, but it was still like, I want my $2 back.
Yeah, it was just,
Now, like the stuff that, let me think here. What was it? Midsummer and like those type of movies that have been coming out. Those are actually really good. They're kind of like refreshing because it's not the same stuff that's been done.
Exactly. So I always get asked again, being in a band, and the one of the most common questions, "What's my favorite horror movie?" And then we kind of snowball from there, which I love talking horror. I always get asked Midsummer or Hereditary. I did not like Hereditary. I might be one of the only people on
Hmm.
the planet that didn't like her. I wasn't. It didn't do it. It had some great scenes, but it didn't do it for me. Now, Midsummer, that was more. I feel like that was more kind of well put together, and it was like just enough of that weird kind of what the fuck is going on
Hmm.
vibe. Don't get me wrong, Hereditary was cool, but on my scale,
Right.
it's like, what about you? What do you think with those two?
I actually honestly have not seen Midsummer yet.
That's your homework. I'm assigning you some
I
homework.
literally, I kept saying like I need to see it, I need to see it, I need to see it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. There's a lot of movies that I still need to go out and see. Um, but yeah, somebody in chat just said Jordan Peele, Us was such a good movie. Like,
Yes.
it,
Now that's also a sore, itchy spot that I try not to I try not to scratch at. Yes, Get Out. Get Out is probably still one of my favorite like movie. Like it's up there. Like I think the twist on it was original. The entire movie was very well put together. The concept was awesome. I feel like with Us, it was a great movie. Again, the ending was not as much as a wow factor as Get Out was, but it was still a good like holy shit, that's cool. But I feel like with Us, it was a bit more stretched out, and it
right.
kind of it kind of dragged on just a bit. I felt that. Now I'm not speaking for everybody, um, but Get Out was fucking phenomenal, and Us was just as cool. Love the concept, love that whole underground thing. Like that to me was really cool.
Right,
Good
right.
movie.
Um, I know we've been talking about horror movies this whole time, but
That's fine.
replacing when they replace actors who are so iconic with these characters with new people, I don't think it'll ever work personally. Because like, especially, oh, let's see, the Hellraiser remake that they had where they didn't have Doug Bradley in it was just ugh. No,
Ex- Look, again, you could take anybody and put them in a Myers mask, right?
exactly.
But it's people like you said, Doug Bradley, Robert Englund as Freddy
Hmm.
Krueger. There ain't no motherfucking Freddy Krueger. Robert Englund is Freddy Krueger. Like
Right.
that's just like fucking Tony Stark. Tony Stark is fucking Robert Downey Jr.
Oh yeah,
Like there is no other
100%.
Tony. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just that in costume out of costume, that person is that character. And you can put other people in the masks for Leatherface and things like that, and it's fine. Whatever. Maybe he's not as fat or he's not as tall, but certain characters gotta stay those characters for a reason.
Yeah, you got to have that person because
Yes.
it's not the character, it's the person there. But yeah,
Yes.
100%.
That's running that character, the mannerisms, the way the words are pronounced, the voice. It's like you can't get another Freddy Krueger. Like when they did that remake of
Oh, it was
Nightmare on Elm Street,
I hated it.
he was CGI. I didn't know he looked like a fucking burnt tomato. Like what is going on? And it's like this is killing me. And I'm not a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan to begin with. Same thing with Child's Play and Chucky. The remake, like the original's great, one, two, three, all that, great. And then they get into the CGI and all that. It's like, no, Chucky is a puppet.
Yeah,
He is an animatronic fucking puppet. Leave
right.
him that. You don't have to CGI him.
Right.
Don't do that to the poor guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then change his facial structure and no, don't do that to him. Like,
Yeah.
leave Charles the way he is.
And that's actually coming back too.
Yes,
The TV
yes,
series.
I thought you meant another remake.
No, they're doing I think it's just going to be called Chucky. It's going to be on Sci-Fi. It's a full on it's a continuation from the last movie, I guess, and it's just like they're going to continue the story and they said, "Oh, we're going to go back and visit his childhood to figure out why he became a killer." And I'm like, don't no.
Dig. Stop.
Yeah.
Chucky is the soul in Chucky is a fucking psycho, and he's in Chucky, and that's the movie, not who Chucky was before Chucky was Chucky.
Yeah, we don't need to humanize a killer doll. That's not the point.
Yes. Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, it's just another one of those things where it's like let's milk this fucking thing for as much money as we possibly can, even if it sucks. I don't care. Like Pet Cemetery, the last Pet Cemetery movie they made, they literally made that just to make money off of it because they were about to lose the IP.
Butchered it. A horrible movie, terrible movie. Absolutely, I saw it in theaters. I was stoked on it because the trailer looked cool with the kids with the masks playing the drum, and I'm like, this looks fucking wacky, and it was such a fucking letdown, man. I was like, oh, like, god damn it. Now, again, continuing our horror movie talk, one franchise that I love and I'll support it from A to Z is the Saw franchise.
Oh yeah.
That to me, yes, it's brutal. Yes, Jigsaw, up and down, dead, alive, but just the entire how everything is put together. For me, it works. It works. It's great. They're brutal. A lot of practical effects, and it's just a well played series from one, two, three, four, on and on and on. A lot of people say, yeah, it starts to drag and this, which it could, but it's keeping the entire series uniform and not going boom, 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 up and down, up and down. So there's a new one coming out, Spiral or something, which I'm excited. Like I'm like, great. Like this might be really fucking cool if they keep it within the boundaries and within the Saw universe.
Right. And it was nice because it was original.
Yes.
Which is a big thing that a lot of people don't. There's no real originality in a lot of stuff anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the big screen, and I don't think the world was ready for it, but in the first Saw, I mean, I saw it on the big screen, and when he starts sawing his fucking foot off, people weren't ready for something like that on the big screen. Like that almost to me was like a taboo, like cutting your own limb off. Like, yeah, Jason, this one they decapitate you, but like that scene where he's sawing his fucking leg, his foot, to me, I was like, oh, I remember, I was taken back by it, and that to me was like, that's something new. That's great to me. For that time frame, there was nothing else like it.
100%. So a lot of the times we talk about toys here. I've got a shit ton of toys over here. I don't know if you can see them.
Some pops.
I've got
Ninja Turtles.
The NECA Ninja Turtle figures up here. I spent so much fucking money on those. It was ridiculous. Actually, I have figures to unbox yet still. The Turtles in Time figures. Which I've spent way too much money on those, and then the Ghost Pops, which they're great. Like most pop vinyls that are based off characters are like, but these ones are actually like they look great. So,
nice.
What kind of collections do you have?
Oh boy! All right. Well, my backdrop should be a dead giveaway, but anybody that knows me, friends, family, fans. They know that my world revolves around Ghostbusters. Like that's just it. Ever since I saw Ghostbusters when I was a fucking itty bitty baby, everything in my life growing up has been some sort of Ghostbuster. Whether for my 35th birthday, I had a fucking 3-tier Ghostbuster cake, all the way back when I was a kid, and it was the fucking themed birthday parties. I not only have a collection, but I have like kind of like a mini obsession, and I don't want to say I have the largest, but I have a pretty good collection that values, I want to say anywhere between $10,000 to $12,000. I mean, I have like, I had a custom screen accurate talk made that lights up, makes a sound, it smokes. I got a bunch of the 80s toys. Pretty much people know. I have friends that'll text me that'll be out of town. They're like, yo, do you have this Ghostbuster box? And I'm like, no. And they're like, I'm getting it for you. Or they'll see in 7-Eleven they had Ghostbuster marshmallow lollipops, right? So, of course, I bought one. And then I told the lady, I'm like, listen, when this sells out, because you know how like the pops stick in the cardboard base, it had a Ghostbuster logo. I'm like, when this sells out, put that behind the counter because I want that. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I come in and she had it for me. So, yes, I had in Vegas, I have a room that's just Ghostbuster stuff. It's just shelves, Ghostbuster stuff, floor to ceiling posters, everything. I got a mini Slimer, a Slimer that goes across the ceiling on a rope that plays the music, figures, cars, firehouses. it's just, and people ask why Ghostbusters, and it's like, for me, I just connected with. I like the entertainment, the packs, them running through the streets with it on. I cosplay it. I've done a couple of conventions where I showed up as a Ghostbuster. I got the flight suit, my name. I got stoked on it because I love it. I mean, I got the fucking logo on my elbow. You know, it's like I just that's like my thing. You know what I'm saying? Ghostbusters. So I collect that, and then for the last about 3 or 4 years, I've been collecting a lot of like the NECA and Seth MacFarlane horror toys. So I have a nice collection again back in Vegas of those toys, and I'm starting. They're a bit pricey, you know, if
Oh
you
yeah.
want to start collecting, but if you appreciate it, it's like you
The
need to have it, you
the
know.
details in the NECA figures anymore are just insane. Like
Yep,
just the
yep.
little shit that they put into them. Like all four of those Ninja Turtles figures, all of the shells on the back of them have different patterns. One of them has like nicks in it, the other one doesn't. I'm like, they didn't have to go that far into the detail, but they chose to,
But yes, but they did, yeah,
and
yep.
that's like the best part of it.
It's a quality toy, and being an adult, I like toys. I don't like Ferraris and Mustangs. I like Ghostbuster stuff. I like horror toys. Like I'd rather buy a shitload of toys and display them on my wall.
Yep.
Like that, again, that's me. Everybody has their own thing,
Right.
but it's like that. I love that. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
my buddy AJ Good, he has the House of
Yep.
Masks. Insane. I'm one of my closest friends. Loved the kid. I saw him when it was I had a privilege of visiting his house years ago when it was still small, and it grew huge. And I'm so proud of his accomplishments. But that's his thing, is masks. And
Mhm.
when I tell you he has masks,
Yeah.
it's like mind fucking blown.
Yeah. I've
So
I've seen his new place that he's got, and it's just I haven't been there, but I saw the videos of it.
yeah,
He only lives
yep.
like an hour from here. I really like. I hope that he opens it up to like the public because I'm definitely gonna go down there and check it out because that shit's just insane. Like hundreds of Slipknot masks.
Unreal. The only thing that he's missing from his collection is an accurate mask from a used mask that's still. Well, he'll take one that's destroyed or not,
Right.
but that's like his holy grail. But he has masks that are super accurate, like you would think it came off of fucking, Sid Wilson's head.
Mm.
He's been told by members that, we'll get you a mask for your collection. And I feel like that's one thing that is kind of a letdown is like you have somebody like AJ that has the biggest Slipknot collection around of masks. And you're aware, you're a musician that's aware of this. Make the kid's fucking dream and
Oh yeah.
give him a mask. Like it's not some backwoods kid that just has 5 or 6 masks. This kid's life is dedicated.
Hmm.
Put something in his fucking collection. So that's just how I feel. It's
Right.
like if he had a Kissing Candice collection like that and we were that popular, I'd be like, here you go.
Yeah.
Put it right in your put it in your fucking hands.
Yeah. I know he's even like interviewed Corey Taylor too. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like
It's like it's nuts. And that was like maybe 2-3 years ago that he still hasn't acquired a mask from Corey. Like the band knows about the House of Masks. They've liked his pictures. They follow him on social media. It's like, come on, like you know what I'm saying? And I wish that musicians and bigger actors, and I know they all can't do it, but when you go above and beyond, show a little bit of love.
right.
You know,
Right.
you're still at the end of the day, you're still a fucking human being.
Right. Right. We were talking about pops, like big collections. I have 120 pop vinyls, I think,
Damn.
in my living room. I had to stack them sideways on top of each other just to get them to all fit on my mantle. Like you can't even see them anymore. All you can
Holy
see is the
shit.
front of it. Yeah. And then I still have like I've got a box over here full of like 90s toys from when I was a kid, and I still have all of my old toys at my parents' house. I like they're like, oh, you're just gonna hoard them? No, I'm keeping them because I know in like 30 fucking years it's gonna be like the coolest shit ever. And I've got all these old Pokemon cards that I hung on to, and now all these kids on TikTok are fucking going ape shit over these,
Dude,
spending
it
ridiculous amounts of
came
money.
Full fucking circle with
It did.
Pokemon cards. When Pokemon cards were big, I was never into it, but I was like, what the fuck is this bullshit card? It's like the Magic cards. I was like, oh, that shit's dumb. And now people are selling fucking cards for, tens of thousands of dollars, and I'm like, well, don't I feel like a fucking idiot for making fun of those, giving those kids shit, and now the kids that hung on to it they're sitting on hundreds of $1,000s worth of fucking cards.
It's
Good for
absolutely
them.
crazy. Yeah, 100%. Like
Good for them.
like they said, the biggest sale, Logic, paid $250,000 for one Charizard card.
Oh my god, that is insane. That is insane. That's
it's a stupid amount of money, and it's like this is just something that somebody could just have sitting in their closet at home that's been sitting there for 30 years.
or might have thrown them out 5 years ago or 2 years ago when they cleaned out their closet.
Yeah.
Oh, look at these dumb Pokemon cards. Fuck the, like, and there could have been a fucking limited edition in there. Like, you never fucking know, man. VHS tapes, they're coming back just like records.
I have literally just sitting right here.
Yeah, I saw that you
Day of
showed
the
balls
Dead.
those. Yeah, dude.
I found these in the
that's
bottom of
great.
my closet.
You got the box set of fucking Hellraiser.
The two cassette. This way, there it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Dude, that's great.
And it's like you can't. It's hard to find now because people just threw the shit out.
Yep.
And then,
I
like,
have
CRT
about-
TVs too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's another huge thing. Like those are going for hundreds of dollars all of a sudden, and people were just tossing them.
I don't know where it went. That's like, I have probably, I want to say, close to 30 copies of Ghostbusters on VHS between the first one, the second one, a couple of the oddball boxes, and I go to the Savers or the Salvation Army, and I scour the VHS session, and within the last 2 years, it's been hard to find them, and they say they get VHS tapes, and people are just grabbing them off the walls.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just coming back. Just VHS in general, that's like a thing to collect, like CDs, records. Like, there's no more physical stuff out there. Everything is a digital.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a digital world, and it's like full circle. Playing cards, everything's coming back because when you don't have it for so long, I feel like you miss it. And
Yes,
you
you
grow
become sentimental
in
for it.
appreciation,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, like oh man, PlayStation games and stuff like that from back in the day. People are literally hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of just sealed games. For it's insane. It's absolutely unreal, and it's just stuff that people had that they've been throwing out. And even like nowadays, you can go on to like Facebook Marketplace or something like that and find somebody who doesn't know what they have. Spend $50 and make $600-700 just within the snap of a finger. It's crazy.
'Cause they're moving and they're getting rid of a trunk full of VHS tapes.
Yeah, this is my kid's stuff. I don't want it in my fucking house anymore. And you're like, okay, that's mine now.
Have you seen on Netflix The Last Blockbuster?
I don't know if we watched that or not.
Dude,
There was what was that other show? What the fuck was it called? The one about the old toys that was on Netflix.
yes. It was on, like, not too long ago, but not recently, right?
They did like Power Rangers and they did like Transformers.
Yeah, the toys that made
us.
us.
Yes,
Yes, that was it. The toys that
Yes.
made us. Okay. Again, another piece of homework is check out. It's on Netflix right now. It's The Last Blockbuster, about the Last Blockbuster video that's in Washington. It is such a sad meaning like they really break it down about what a video store was, like at the time, like it was a place where you went and it told a lot about your personality from what you were renting, and you would talk to the person about recommendations, and they're saying how you don't have that anymore. Now it's just, you just go and you just read little blurbs on Netflix, and then you're like, oh, this sounds interesting. So it's like, it's true, because I remember as a kid renting fucking videos and going to a video store and just seeing, not even hearing of these movies, but looking at the box, the artwork, and being like, look at this monster. This looks fucking sick. I'm going to rent it just on pure, fucking what it looks like. So people want that. It's with CDs, like, with us, everything is about Spotify. First week number in Spotify, how many monthly listeners. But it's like, we always print CDs because we noticed that at least our fan base and what we cater to, they like that feeling of the CD. The artwork, the lyrics, the liner notes, everything is there. So we'll always crank out CDs just for the purpose of, I don't know, I used to like it, FYE, Best Buy, fucking Hot Topic.
Oh, yeah.
I remember going to Hot Topic buying Mechanical Animals by Marilyn Manson and just being like, looking at it like excited.
Mhm.
Hey, what are you doing? I have I have a bunch of fucking cats running around my place. But yeah, like even they're taking all that kind of stuff out of the world now. Hot Topic is no more Hot
Oh
Topic. I
no,
don't even
it's
know what the fuck Hot Topic is anymore.
yeah, it's not
But
anything like it used to be.
no
It's just
way.
yeah. I mean, there's still some cool stuff in there, but it's not like it's become more pop. Well, the thing about Hot Topic, somebody had described it at one point in time. I don't remember where I heard it, but they said it's called Hot Topic because it was whatever the hot topic was at the time. So in that aspect, Hot Topic is technically what it's supposed to be right now.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. It's following what's hot,
Right.
but it's like I guess because we're growing up and that phase is out. But Junko jeans, trip
Yep.
pants, that was my fucking shit.
When it
Like
was
that
when it was a goth store.
yeah, goth topic. Like that was that is that's what I miss, and it's like I get it. They're staying hip with everything, but it's like that era was just that was the
It was
time to
so
be
good.
alive.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was so good. And then like I feel like everything retro is coming back now. Just everything in general, whether it be video games or music, and like right now, synthwave, like the '80s sound is fucking huge now. It's
Yep.
absolutely huge, and I don't know if it's just because people were like they miss it, or if it's because these young kids are discovering it and they're like, "Holy shit, this is fucking cool
shit.
compared to the shit that's out right now."
Yeah. The horror movie It Follows came out a couple years back. Great fucking horror movie. Again, completely different storyline. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. But the soundtrack to it is classic fucking 80s horror. Like you said, synth shit, heavy driven dark synths and drones, and it's like it fuels that movie.
Mhm.
It's like it fits perfect, and that soundtrack alone. I mean, I used to have it in my iTunes when a couple of years ago, and it would shuffle through. And again, they're bringing that back in horror. They're bringing it back, to the music world. It's so crazy how things come full circle.
Mhm. I there was a post on Twitter about like horror movies in the 2000s and the soundtracks from those, where it was just like Static X and Spine Shank and like all those kind of
Fear
bands.
Fear Factory, Cold
Yes,
Chamber.
all that on like the Freddy versus Jason soundtrack was so fucking good. And then like Scream 3 had a fucking killer soundtrack. And it's like those songs worked for that time,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
what they made the movies great. And then like, well, yeah, John Carpenter, he had like insane soundtracks, but if a horror movie doesn't have a good soundtrack, it loses something.
Yes. Yes. I 100% agree. Um, Perfect example, throwing back to a movie that not a lot of people have seen, is D. Schneider's Strangeland. And it's based on, it's an internet kind of predator kind of movie about a guy who's tattooed and pierced and lowers people to his house through the internet chat rooms, when AOL was a thing. And the soundtrack to that is fucking awesome. Coal Chamber, I think Dope is on there. Seven Dust, Soulfly, Bile.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like the soundtrack is fucking brutal. It's sick, and the movie itself was ahead of its time. D. Schneider plays this fucking 6'5" fucking guy with dreads and tattoos and all these piercings, and he's fucking sinister and crazy. And the movie was like, it was great, but that soundtrack made it for that time.
Oh
It
yeah.
was like, bam, there it is.
And then yeah, somebody in the chat brought up Queen of the Damned, the soundtrack
Yes.
that Jonathan Davis did,
Yep, yep, yep.
which
yep.
is funny because he wasn't actually able to be credited for most of that because of his record label. Like, which is just bullshit, really.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like having his voice in that just made it 100%.
yeah. It's wild, man. It's wild how music could really put that finishing touch on a movie, especially for horror movies.
Right. Especially then,
That's
like,
just the way it goes.
back in the day, like the movies in the 30s, like that's all it was music. There was silent films and like just the music made it. And I
Yep,
like
yep.
like I said earlier, the the movies in the 30s, I think, were just ahead of their time because, like, they had to act it out. Like, there was no, oh, we're gonna trick everybody, we'll do it in post. There was no post. Like, it was,
Yeah.
you did it, and that was it.
And again, it's not horror at all, but a perfect example of movies from the black and white days was the Three Stooges, where they would bash each other on the head and things would pop and explode and you know their wigs would come flying off, and that was, you know, you watch it now, you could see the fucking string pulling the wigs off, or you know, all this stuff, or you have to really hit them and they put in the sound. It's like that to me. If those guys didn't knock it out, it would look like stupid. Like,
Yeah.
what are they doing? You absolutely nailed it. They made that shit come to life.
And it seems like it seems like it's just lost now.
Yeah.
Like I think the last real, well, there was the Saw movies. Underworld, actually, somebody just brought up Underworld. Underworld actually had a lot of practical effects that were really good too.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had a pretty sick soundtrack as well. The Underworld soundtrack was great. I liked that movie when it came out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else had a like kind of like you said, that in that time frame that had like good music, like where it's like, wow, this is really cool, you
Right.
know, like
It's like there was a lot, like I Know What You Did Last Summer, I think, had a good one.
oh
Yes.
shit,
Yeah.
dude, I haven't seen that movie in a minute, but yeah, that was like that Scream where it had that nice mix of different, you know,
New metal,
different fucking-
like yeah, it just worked with it. And then there was what was that movie called? Valentine.
Valentine.
Was it the
Not
one?
my blood.
Not my
My
bloody
Bloody
Valentine.
No.
It was they had the Cupid mask on. Who the fuck was in that movie? Son of a bitch. Hold on.
Anybody know in the? Oh, somebody said
Hackers
Hackers.
was a really good
Dude,
movie.
I still watch Hawkers, and it's still a fucking great, totally ridiculous movie, like Hawking. But again, Angelina Jolie, Matthew Lillard, completely fucking nailed it.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
What do you got?
Came out in 2001. It had Denise Richards was in it. That's the one I was trying to fucking think of. I couldn't think of her. Yeah, and it was just like a Cupid mask, and they went around and killed people. But the soundtrack
check
to that
that
was
out.
unreal. It seems like there's a lot of movies from that mid 2000s era that were just like that was the time to do a slasher movie.
Yes.
It was
Oh,
just,
somebody put Ghost Ship in the
that
comments.
was a fucking great.
That movie, the opening scene of that movie, everybody still talks about, dude. That is iconic with Mudvayne playing, and the fucking that opening was that just fucking that hits you right there. Great fucking
The
reference
rope
right there.
just shoots it. Yeah. Oh gosh.
I just yeah, like it's again just the rest of the movie was but that opening scene was just
And what was
it
it?
got you.
13 Ghosts. That was a really good movie too.
Oh man.
Yeah. God.
Yes. Another great Matthew Lillard, you know, movie where he's in it and the characters are fucking great. Like those characters are great. And it's funny because me and my buddy Justin, he designs escape rooms and haunted houses. He's from Vegas. He always said he wanted to design a haunted house based on 13 Ghosts with the fucking clear walls and shit.
That would be sick.
I mean, getting walls that are fucking clear is
Right.
probably expensive, but a theme like that would be fucking out of control.
Oh, that would be so
Because that
sick.
movie is fucking sick. It's completely underrated movie.
Right. And it just takes place in that little box. Yeah.
And you know what? Going back to what we were saying, all those people, those are costume people. Yeah, there's some CGI in there, but those are, you know, I see behind the scenes photos all the time, and they're all makeup. Like that's makeup. Like that's prosthetics. That's costumes. That's, you know, real blood dripping off them. Like that's fucking great.
I feel like it's just like production companies trying to cut the cost as much as possible because it's just so much cheaper just to hire somebody to do it in post on a fucking computer than it is to actually have somebody come in and design pieces of prosthetics and have to shoot it just right. Like, but it just makes the movie that much better because it seems more realistic. Like it could actually be happening.
that's like perfect example is like, I've been in the haunt industry for 15 years. I started out as an actor working the chainsaw, and then was the door greeter, and then I did a little bit of I would help assist the makeup artist doing blood and things like that. And then I got pulled into the build team and then designing, and as of last year, me and my partner, we acquired pretty much owning it, running it, designing it, the whole nine yards. And it's like, every March, actually last Saturday, we sat down to order. We go to a big trade show, which has been pushed back to May now, and that's where all the top haunt vendors are, and it's called Trans World Haunt Show. Actually, Josh's company, Horror Hub, they got a booth this year at Trans World. They're going to be promoting their stuff there. So we order animatronics. Now animatronics range from 3,000 to 20,000,
Right.
And it's like we see these sick animatronics and these things that jump and lunge and scream, but at the end of the day, those are good distractions, but they can never replace an actor.
Mhm.
An actor just knows what to do. It's real. It's not something that's mechanical and or programmed or in movie world CGI. It's an actor is real. They'll get that real scare. They'll be able to time it perfect. With an animatronic, yeah, there's foot pads, there's sensors, they could walk on it, and then a second later they pop out. But it's like that actor listens and they know, okay, the guest is right there, get him. Like
Mhm.
it's just that real life feeling, that real life person that makes things just that better. And you put that in a movie and you got the real blood, the real makeup, the prosthetics, the puppeteering, all of that. Just it's that much better.
Right. I feel like a few years back, the whole jump scare craze was just in movies was like, is it really a horror movie or did you just scare some fucking people by making a really loud noise?
Yes, yep. The startle with the fucking drone mixed in with a scream mixed in with and it was
Mhm.
like "Wah!"
Yeah.
that was a hot thing. You're right. A couple of years ago, like that's what every movie was doing. The audio would kind of drop and get quiet, and like they're looking around, and all of a sudden a bird would fly past, and it sounded like fucking a storm when it flew past because that's what they were trying to do.
And you knew it was coming. Because they did that, they turned all the sound down. You're
Yes.
like, well, okay, here comes a fucking another jump scare.
And even if you know it was coming, it's still
It's still
kind of
yeah.
like it's fucking coming. It's I guess it's just the way the mind is. Even though you know it's coming, it still gets you. And I feel like horror movies go through that trend where it's like there'll be a bunch of movies that come out that are like all paranormal jump scare things, and then there's like they try to go for like the super gory
Mhm.
weird endings, and then like the zombie infection. Like I feel like horror movies come in waves depending on like what is out. Like one person does it, monkey see monkey do, and then you
Mhm.
got other people that are mimicking that kind of trend for a little bit.
Like
But
the
yeah,
fucking The Walking Dead. God. Ugh. Like the first, I'll give it, the first couple of seasons were decent. I'll give it that. It was something new. And then it drug and drug and drug and drug. And then they started making zombie movies, and zombie movies, it's like the whole zombie thing was just beat to hell.
I have friends that love Walking Dead. I have a buddy that I play with Fortnite. His name is Austin, and he's got like the skin, the Fortnite skin of the Walking Dead, and he'll admit that. I think it's season 1 and 2 he's all about, and then he says that they start falling off. And always when Walking Dead was hot, everybody was like, "You love horror, you got to check out The Walking Dead," and I'm like, I can't get into it. It's just something that I couldn't
Mhm.
sink my teeth into.
I feel like the original Night of the Living Dead's a fucking classic in every way. Like there will never be another zombie movie like that because
Nope.
they always want them to be like vicious and like running and like no, they're fucking dead. They move slow. They're like that's the whole point of it.
That's a zombie. Like if you ask me what a zombie is, what you just explained, that's a zombie. Like
Yeah.
that's how it is. It's not pissed off. It's not infected. It's not hauling ass after you.
Right.
It's just going.
Yes.
And just that's it.
And then like one of our favorite movies is Return of the Living Dead.
What Return of the Living Dead? That was just
It was
my
like
wheels
it
are
was like a
turning.
campy version of a zombie movie where they were basically like, oh, what if this actually happened? And then it did happen. It had Oh fuck.
That's
Tarman.
not the. That's not the one with Bub that wears the headphones on his.
No, that's was that Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead?
That
One
might
of the
be.
two.
Yeah, that might be Day of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead is in the mall.
Yes.
That's the one Savini did in Pittsburgh at the mall in Monroeverton.
Yes.
I actually visited that mall. That was pretty cool. But yeah, dude, like those, even though Return of the Living Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Living Dead, but in that time frame, they all were kind of similar with the zombies, which was cool. Like it wasn't until like the 28 days later and stuff did the zombies start becoming aggressive and I Am
Right.
Legend and all that. So in that little time frame, I like those movies because of the zombies. It was convincing.
Hot take. I hate I Am Legend. I
You know what?
can't get into it.
My girlfriend too hates I Am Legend. If I scroll past it, she's like, "Keep going, I hate it."
Yeah, I don't know what it was about that fucking movie, but I just couldn't get into it. It was just I don't know.
You know, I like Will Smith. I love him in Independence Day, Men in Black. So I guess I kind of feed into the Will Smith Wild Wild West. Like I feed into that, but I like it. I think I like the idea of it being apocalypse, nobody around. He's surviving every day. I think that's pretty cool. I could see why people hate it though. I get it. And so I don't really go back and forth about
Right.
it, but like I could see why people hate it.
Like and then that was around the time when they did like World War Z and like
Yes.
all of those type of movies. I never watched it because I was just like, man, it's just all right. We get it. There's zombies.
That's the one with Brad Pitt, the
Yep.
World War Z. Oh God,
Yeah.
what are you doing? What are you possibly doing?
And then 28 Days Later was okay.
The first one, not
Yes.
28 weeks.
Weeks and years, whatever the fuck else it
Yeah.
became. Yeah.
Again, cool vibe when he wakes up from the hospital and it's the fucking apocalypse. Like, I love that. I think that was fucking genius. Great. The zombies again, and that was one of the first movies that kind of, I think, and Twitch world, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the first movie that kind of introduced us to angry zombies that are aggressive and running and that vibe. I feel
believe
like
so.
that might be that segue into it.
Right. I usually when I like watch those movies, I don't think of them as zombies as much as I think of them as like infected humans.
Yes, not zombie. Although they die and then they come back.
Right.
Zombies like they've been dead and then they come back.
Right, they
You know
come
what I'm
out of
saying?
the fucking ground and like that. Yeah.
Another movie that's like that, where we're talking about fast-paced zombie, is The Crazies, about the small town that gets infected and
We
they quarantine
literally just watched that 2 days ago.
it. Was it your first time seeing it, or did you
No.
rewatch it?
I actually went. I think we went to the movies to see that when it first came out.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. Again, I like it. It's to the point. They don't drag it out. That the effects are great in it, and the storyline is pretty cool. How at the end it's the plane crashes, and I like that whole premise. So yeah, that's another great movie. But I think 28 Days Later was like the first movie to introduce the aggressive zombie, infected kind of vibe.
Right. I'm trying to think of what else was like overdone. I know they tried to bring back the Universal monsters. The Mummy, I didn't not like it, but I mean it was just the one with Tom Cruise. It's
My favorite Universal monster movie of all time is the fucking Monster Squad. Please tell me
Nope.
you
I have not seen Monster
motherfucker, you
Squad.
have some fucking homework to do.
I've got, like I said, I've got so many movies that I've
Dude.
seen and so many movies that I haven't seen. It's like
Monster Squad is a movie about the Universal monsters in suburbia.
Right.
But it's not a comedy movie, it's not a horror movie, it's like in between. It's a good movie. But what makes it really good is that all the makeup and costuming on the Universal monsters are fucking awesome. The Wolfman, the creature from the Black Lagoon, Mummy, Frankenstein, just absolutely amazing. That is definitely a movie that you want to check out. Really, and another kind of really cool 80s kind of vibe soundtrack to it. That upbeat, like positive, dancing, but just a great all-around movie. I don't know if you guys ever seen that out there in the Twitch world. Yeah, somebody said it's a fun movie. Yeah, perfect way to describe it. It's Universal Monsters meets the Goonies. Fucking nailed it. That is perfect.
Oh,
Good.
How do we feel about the Munsters? The Munsters was, my wife loves the fucking Munsters like so much. I mean, I like it too. Like it was,
but Zombie's remaking. He's doing it. Rob Zombie is doing the Munsters.
yeah. I don't want.
I don't know how I feel about.
I don't want him to touch it. Leave it the fuck alone. Don't touch it.
That Munsters. Like, do you know what? I'm so happy that they didn't remake the fucking Addams Family. Like that's a pure example of two great fucking movies that they never touched.
I mean, there's Wednesday. Wednesday's coming out. That Tim Burton is doing a Wednesday Addams show with her grown up.
Oh no, I didn't know this.
Yes, that's a thing that's happening.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, Tim Burton's got his hands all over the Addams Family right now.
Okay, it's Tim Burton, so it might be good. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah,
that was compared to Willy Wonka, the original, which again, a sick, demented, twisted movie. He butchered that, but we're not going to talk about that. But again, Addams Family, those two movies, the first one, second one, amazing, just as equal. But they never, in all those years, they never tried to fuck with it until you just told me the heartbreaking news.
Yeah, it's actually, I don't think it's going to be a movie. I think it's going to be a series on Netflix. I believe is what it is. So I don't know if that's, I don't know. The animated one that came out, the Addams Family movie, the recent CG one, that was great. I enjoyed the fuck out of that.
Yes, that is, and I'm not a big cartoon CGI kind of guy, that whole world, but yes, it was definitely worth a watch and check out. I'm a Monsters Inc. guy. I love the original Monsters Inc.
Mm-hmm.
That's just Monster House, like shit like that. But yeah, obviously Nightmare Before Christmas, everybody likes.
Oh fuck yeah.
That was good. The Addams Family was good.
It definitely did. Tim Burton definitely. He's kind of his stuff's kind of gone downhill. I think he's just kind of overdone. I think the last good thing he did was probably Sweeney Todd.
Had it on, was like back and forth watching it. Yeah, it was for what it was. It was okay. I'm not gaga over Burton like a lot of people are. I respect what he's done. He's a fucking genius. Just some of his stuff, not for me. Edward Scissorhands, to me is a timeless classic. Mm-hmm. You know, that's great. But Beetlejuice,
I fucking love Beetlejuice.
I mean, Beetlejuice is just, and that's another one that they're apparently doing with Michael Keaton. That's another guy that has to be Beetlejuice, just like Tony Stark is Iron Man and all that. You know, Michael Keaton is Beetlejuice, and that's it. Just like in my eyes, Michael Keaton is the original Batman. Oh, yeah. Jack Nicholson is the original Joker.
Right.
Those are just people that can't take the place of other characters. You know, Heath Ledger, great Joker. Fucking Joaquin Phoenix, that movie is genius. The Joker.
It was a different take. That was the good thing about it. It wasn't like, I fell into a vat of acid. No, it was some dude that went fucking
Can we talk
ballistic.
about that movie for a minute? Can we talk about the
movie?
Joker? That movie it's like so many emotions in one movie, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm not really a big like Batman universe fan. Like I've seen them, you know, in Marvel movies and things like that. Like I'm not really wrapped up in that whole universe, but for what the movie was, take him out, take the Joker character out of that universe. That movie was a great movie on its own. And Joaquin Phoenix is an amazing actor. I love him. I respect him. I think anything he is just very that he stars in is very good. But that movie, he nailed that person, and I think anybody else wouldn't have been able to put that kind of vibe to the movie.
Like he was method acting, like that's like the big thing. Like when they fully just immerse themselves into it, that's when you get the really good performances. Did you ever hear about the ending that was supposed to happen to that movie that never happened?
No.
At the end, apparently he's walking down an alleyway and sees two people and their kid, shoots both the parents, looks at the kid, and shoots the kid in the fucking head. Which, okay, there's Bruce Wayne. You just killed
I was
Bruce
just
Wayne.
gonna say, is that?
Yep.
I heard. Now that you say it, I heard a little something that those two worlds could possibly connect, but
I was like, why did
that's
you not end like that? That would have been.
that would have been
Oh
that
my
would have been it
God.
right there. That would have been it.
Like
That would
was
have been fucking great.
you just like because it's like, oh, there's Batman. Oh fuck, he just shot Batman in the fucking head. It's over.
Yeah.
There's no Batman in this world.
There's no Batman. It doesn't exist. Yeah. When you said that, it kind of like sparked that I read about that. But that movie, his acting in it, the way he, actually, my girlfriend she's a Reddit nut. She's all Reddit, and she brought up something the other night about the scene in the bathroom. What was the scene? He wasn't supposed to dance, and then he started dancing or something, and that's improv right in the Joker.
Oh yeah, that was like,
What was he originally just
came up
supposed?
with that idea. He was supposed to yell at himself in the mirror.
Yeah, after he kills the people on the train and he runs in the bathroom and he's looking at himself in the mirror, and then he starts dancing. The original script, he was actually supposed to like start yelling at himself in the mirror, but in that moment he just started dancing, and they and the director and they just cut rolling and he just went with it, and that made the movie is just that.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? That makes it even more fucking wacky and wild and fucked up, is the point that he came up with something that weird and odd on the fly.
Right.
And I love that. I live for shit like that. When I find out little Easter eggs like that actors just did things on the fly and it made the movie, that to me is pure fucking genius. I love
100%. And let me think here. I haven't seen Justice League yet. I don't have HBO Max, like that whole like the remade version that everybody's like freaking out about.
Yeah, no, I don't follow that world. I love Robert Downey Jr. That's why I'm kind of familiar with the Iron Man movies.
Right.
Like I love him. Weird Science, all those movies. Like I love him in them. Deadpool, obviously Ryan Reynolds. That's
so good.
those are just so good movies. Like it's fucking awesome. But as far as like any like super Marvel movies like that, I really don't follow. Ant-Man I saw because Paul Rudd.
Oh yeah.
I love Paul Rudd. Speaking of remakes that tanked, and the one that broke my fucking heart that we forgot to mention was Ghostbusters.
I never saw the new one. The one with all the female cast?
Yes.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay, so I love the cast. Like, Kristen Wiig. Bridesmaids is an hysterical fucking movie. I love that movie. I know it note for note. Great fucking movie. The way I always explain it to people, and people still ask me to this day, especially when it came out, what do you think of the Ghostbusters movie? If Ghostbusters wasn't a movie in the 80s, and that was the first time we saw Ghostbusters, then it's like, okay, I get it. But you cannot compare Ghostbusters and
Right.
answer the call Ghostbusters, because it's two completely different things. Even though they took their hats to the original with certain things. No.
Yeah.
No. The proton packs, no. The Octo one, no. Like the jumpsuits, no.
Right.
But fast forward, and then Ghostbusters Afterlife with Ivan Reitman's son that's directing it, the trailer. The one thing that stole my heart, that brought tears to my eyes, is when, in the trailer, when Paul Rudd is talking to the kids about, the ghosts, the phenomenons, and he's like, it's like The Walking Dead in the 80s, and the kids are like, what are you talking about? And he goes on YouTube and Googles Ghostbusters, and it shows Ghostbusters from the 80s on YouTube. So they're acknowledging that Ghostbusters then exists in the same world.
Right.
So everybody's freaking out because it's coexists, not like, Ghostbusters with the female cast where it was its own movie in itself.
Right.
So I'm stoked.
Like I felt like that that was another one of those movies where they just had an IP and they wanted to make a movie based on the IP to try to make some money off of it, I guess.
Yeah. Which they licensed all of it. They came out with all the Ghostbuster line from that movie, and it did well because it's got the Ghostbuster logo on it. But it's like, it's not, again, to me that ain't Ghostbusters. That's just not what it is. Fucking kills me.
A movie I'm really stoked to see because the trailer looked great is the Mortal Kombat movie that's about to come out.
Ooh, yes.
Because that trailer
brutal.
looks sick. So
Brutal.
sick.
And
I think that's what was missing from the first Mortal Kombat movie was good. Annihilation was meh.
Yeah, Annihilation was not that good. But the first one, the original Mortal Kombat, for the time frame that it came out in, it was fucking amazing. But the new one looks completely brutal.
Oh yeah.
I'm stoked on it.
And then like it shows him freezing his blood and then stabbing him with his own blood. It's like
fatalities.
Yes.
And shit. Like, this is where it's at. Like, this is nice.
And then they're like, I think they said that they had to rate it R, but they said that they tried to. It was as close to not being released as possible because of the gore in it. And I'm like, well, that's perfect. That's Mortal Kombat.
Great.
You can't do Mortal Kombat without it being extremely bloody and nasty.
Yeah, even if you rewind back to like the Sega Genesis days, doing the blood code, you got to put in ABACABB, ABACAB. You got to type that in, and you got the fucking blood code, so you could have the fatalities in the blood. I mean, I remember that being taboo when I was a kid playing that and putting in that blood code. It's like, oh, Scorpion rips the guy's head off, and Raiden fries him with the electricity. Like, that was great. That's what Mortal Kombat is.
Exactly. I actually didn't mind Street Fighter back in the 90s.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah. I liked that movie. I actually liked that movie. A lot of people didn't like that movie, but I really liked that movie. And then it was Raul Julia's last movie. Like, you gotta... Yeah. He was dying when he made that movie. Literally.
Wow.
The big suit that he had on was all filled in with padding because he was like super skinny and like dying at the time. They said he did that movie for his kids because his kids were big fans of Street Fighter. So he took on that movie for his kids and then died before it got released.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts to think about.
That is an underrated movie that like is themed after like a video game or something that people don't talk about. That's a great fucking movie.
It is. There's like Super Mario Brothers. That adaptation was crap. It was a good movie.
Come on, don't do that.
It was a good movie, but as far as adapting it to the video game, it was like far off.
Yes.
But as far as Street Fighter went, Street Fighter felt like it was in the game's universe.
Yes. Dude, Super Mario Brothers. Come on, John Leguizamo.
It was like I enjoyed the movie, right? It was a good movie.
It's such a bad movie, but again, it's one of those movies that you gotta.
It's so bad that it's good.
Yes.
Let's see what other the first Resident Evil movie with Mila Jovovich that came out. I liked that one.
Creepy. It was very. Did they make 2 more after that or 3 more? Or?
7 more.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
They beat that fucking franchise into the ground.
Ugh.
And now there's a new one coming out that's based off the first 2 games.
Wow.
Yeah. They beat that franchise into the ground.
Yeah, no, I that shows how much I kept up with it. What we got? Sister Machine Gun was a great band. We need Streets of Rage movie. Yeah, Streets of Rage. I remember that video game, Streets of Rage. That was classic.
Or the Double Dragon movie. Who was it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was the name? Robert Patrick.
Yes, I forgot about that movie.
That was. I love that fucking movie.
Yeah, dude. Holy shit, good one. Good one. And the cover of it was the 2 of them or something on the original artwork.
The big
cover.
coin was in the center. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that was so good.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I love that. That's so good. That makes me happy. That's so good. We got a lot of fucking people talking up in here. Sorry, guys. I kind of haven't been keeping up with the.
Yeah, usually I'll wait, and at the end, I'll just tell everybody to drop questions in.
Cool, yeah.
And then, because I feel like we could probably sit here and talk for 4 fucking hours at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we didn't even cover food. We didn't even cover, again, food is another topic that could just... Would you have a favorite food? What's your,
oh, God.
What's your favorite? What could you just feast on?
Chinese? Probably.
Great.
Yeah, but it's got to be I'm a fan of buffet Chinese. I can't help it. Oh, yeah, and wrestling. We didn't talk about wrestling.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about wrestling. Let's dip our toe into the wrestling.
The wife
world.
brought that up. Thank you, wife.
Great, thanks, wife. um, I'm an Attitude Era guy. Like when that era was going on, that's that's the wrestling that I know. I don't really keep up with stuff recently.
I don't really either. Like, I'll watch it, but like The Fiend, his new mask that he just revealed is so fucking sick. Like,
evil, like great character.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see something like that in wrestling now. But I was like WCW in the 90s.
Okay, you were a WCW kind
like
of guy.
Sting,
Okay.
like Sting was probably still my favorite wrestler of all time. Just like the dude didn't talk for a year and a half, and was the most over wrestler in WCW at the time. Didn't have to say a fucking word.
Not one word. I'm a Stone Cold guy, Degeneration, The Rock, like shit like that. Are you familiar with any of the tag team people from WWF?
Oh yeah.
Like the Hardys or the Dudleys.
Oh yeah.
If you had to pick Dudleys, Hardys, or Edge and Christian as a tag team, like your favorite, who would you pick out of those three?
God damn. That's a hard fucking question.
I have this discussion with my friends.
Hardcore wise, Dudleys.
Yes.
Aerials wise, the Hardys.
Of course.
And then I guess Edge and Christian would be kind of a mix of both, because they did like the take. Yeah. But I was always a big fan of the Hardys. Like that was always like, the alternative style.
Jeff Hardy is he's nasty. Like his shit, his moves, the three-way or whatever, when they were up on the fucking ladder and they're going for the belt, and like that to me, again, that's wrestling entertainment. Nowadays, I feel like you don't get that as much as you got. And I'm not talking about like the ECW or that shit. I'm just talking about like when WWF was still a thing, and it was also like they had those hardcore matches and the no falls anywhere. Like that to me was real wrestling entertainment.
Right.
There was good storylines. The characters were not too over the top, but they were, you had your wrestlers that you loved. You had the ones that you hated. You knew every wrestler. It wasn't like, oh, this wrestler guy never got popular. Really don't know him. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was always like the WWE lineup, WWF at the time, was like that Attitude Era. It was like you knew all those wrestlers, Goldust and the Headbangers, and the guys that used to come out to fucking ICP, the Oddities. Like,
oh yeah.
That that's a whole different realm of things. Which I'm a juggalo at heart. Like I grew up ICP, and then we did the Gathering of the Juggalos 3 years in a row. So when they used to come out, I was fucking stoked, and then when they made an appearance on wrestling, it was like, holy shit! Like those two worlds are merging, because you think of wrestling, you think of Juggalos, you think of Fago, you think of ICP. It goes hand in hand.
I think the thing that killed wrestling was the internet. I think. Because every like the spoilers got to be ridiculous, and then everybody's pointing out, oh, he botched this and botched this. Like, just enjoy it, watch it to enjoy it. But it's like the internet wrestling community made wrestling just not good anymore, because they're so picky about what everything in wrestling right now.
And I feel like the storylines aren't as exciting and fabricated as they were.
There's no long-term booking anymore.
Yeah, like like they had like the divas and and the bikini matches and stuff. Like, those are silly, but you looked forward to those. Like now, I feel like there's no like cool storylines, because society says that it's wrong for two girls to wrestle in a ring and strip each other pretty much naked or close to like
right.
Everything's so padded, you know what I'm saying? Like nowadays, Stone Cold would never be able to drive a beer truck into the arena and spray
beer
somebody in the ring with it. Yeah, it's like that's not cool. Like, I don't want to say it's not cool. It's not accepted anymore.
Right.
The internet will find 500 ways to tell you that it's wrong and not godly or whatever.
That's another thing that we could talk about is cancel culture. Because it has gotten to a point to where if you aren't in this box that society wants everybody to be in, in every single way. They try to shut you down and try to cancel you, and it's like people aren't allowed to have original thoughts anymore.
Nope. And you know what? There are bad people. That you've that's no doubt that you've done bad things and you got punished for it. Like I don't like to talk about it. Marilyn Manson. They're going after Brian Warner. They're not going after Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson is the guy on stage. They're going after the monster. You know what I'm saying? Which, whatever he done, he will pay, and that's fucked up. But it's like, I feel like cancel culture, the big thing is digging up shit that happened and bringing it back and throwing it out there and saying, well, you claimed you were vegan for 10 years, but 8 years ago you were eating a steak. We're canceling you, or this cartoon, or this person did this, or they said that. It's like, we all make mistakes. We've all done wrong. Right. Nobody's perfect. So it's like, at what point does cancel culture just cancel everything? Like, what is it going to be in 5 years? What are you going to be allowed to say?
Yeah, it's
crazy.
It's the internet. The internet has fueled it for the most part, because it's
scary.
Ugh.
It's scary, man. It's scary, and half these things, like, there's no tangible proof. It's just, I found an article and they quoted something about something about something, and they're wrong. And this was,
right.
And then all of a sudden, because they were wrong, it's cool to hate them and destroy their entire career.
Right. It's
it's so savage and so cruel.
Right.
The people that fucked up bad, yes, off with their heads.
100%.
No question. But people are pushing it to what could they find on so and so to cancel them.
And it's like, there's like a lot of times where they'll take positive things like Black Lives Matter. That's a positive fucking thing. And they will take it and they will use it in a really negative way and completely lose the meaning of what it is.
Yes, dude. I mean, they'll still, like wringing a sponge out, they will wring it until there's nothing left in it. And it's like, what the fuck is what's going on?
Like it's lost what it was.
Yeah, you stop for a minute and say, what are we talking about? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? And everything, and the internet, we're in a generation where we've come from no internet pretty much to where we are now. Like we're that generation that's seen it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, the generation before us seen the car come, and we've seen the internet come from fucking AOL dial-up. And the worst thing you had to worry about on finding on Google was the rumor about Marilyn Manson being part of the Wonder Years cast, shit like that. Now it's like,
now everybody has a computer in their fucking pocket,
dude,
and just constant access. That's I think a big thing with all of that is lockdown. Lockdown itself was a bad thing for people, because that's all they did was they spent so much time buried into their phone, just looking and looking and looking and looking, and believing every single thing that popped up on Facebook or Twitter or anything, to the point where they almost got like brainwashed, because that's all they had for a full year.
We're living in a Black Mirror episode. Like, it's like, what the fuck, what's going on? What is reality anymore? Like this is reality. This is going down a rabbit hole is reality. That's what it is, and it's scary. And I'm guilty of it. Like, we're all guilty of it, but it's like, where is that fine line between what's next?
You got to have a disconnect.
Yes. What is it now?
Yeah. Like in January, I took like a week and a half off of everything. I deleted all social media off my fucking phone. I didn't come up here. I stayed away from everything, and it was the nicest fucking week and a half of my life, because I didn't have to deal with anybody else's bullshit. Didn't have to listen to people complain about the election at the time. It was just just to get away from everything is just so nice. So much so that I try to stay away from social media, but doing this, I have to fucking be on social media, because it's like the only way I'm ever gonna take this farther is to get it out there. So it's like a double-edged sword for me, because I don't want to really be on social media like that, but it's like I have to. It's yeah.
But there's there's a group of people that can't separate things, and they just need to feed into everything, and it's like a layered cake. It's like they read about this, they search about it, then this search takes them to here, and then and before you know it, they don't even know what they originally started digging for,
Yep.
because it's brainwashing. It's so scary because the internet really has killed everything, and I don't think there's any way back from it. It's like what's next? What's going to be in the next 5 years? And I'm not even trying to think of 10 years or
Oh, fuck
down.
that.
I'm thinking what's in the next 5 years down the road. Like it's scary, and I'm not trying to be dark and gloom, but it's like
It's true.
this is a podcast. We're talking.
Yeah, it's truth. It's like
And it's like,
yeah.
what's next? What could possibly be next in line? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. The world's just fucking crazy.
yeah,
But it
yeah.
seems, I don't know about the rest of the world, but it seems like it's not necessarily centered in the United States, but it seems like the United States has become a lot more crazy than the rest of the world lately.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Other countries look at us like you guys are fucking whack.
Yeah.
Like our healthcare systems, are the way we vote, and just everyday things that are necessity. They're looking at us like you guys are fucking nuts. And I try to just stay away from politics. I try to stay away from religion.
So do I.
Things like that. If you want to believe in God, go for it. I support you. You want to believe in whatever you want to believe in. I'm not shoving it in your face. Don't shove it in mine.
Mhm. Exactly.
But there's got to be a limit. And going back to the cancel culture thing, it's just it's scary, and it's like how far these people are willing to go to destroy somebody. And again, I'm not pointing fingers on who's right and who's wrong, and whatever accusations are made against big stars, coming forward, those girls coming forward, that's amazing, good for them. Like,
Right, exactly.
But it's like at the same time, it's like people are just doing it now just because it's popular. When it's like maybe people that it really happened to aren't getting as big a voice because now that's the popular thing to do.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Just
Right.
because somebody's butthurt about something,
It's
they got to dig up their past. It's like
it's
let
hard.
the people.
It's hard to tell who's telling the truth anymore because
Yes.
there's just like thousands upon, like anybody can go out there and say like, oh, this dude kicked my ass behind a bar 15 years ago and I want him to be arrested for assault, and it's like, how do we know? Like not saying that people's struggles didn't actually happen, all that stuff, of course, but it's like, come on.
And you know what? The voice is being heard now. Better late than never, and more power to them, and that's amazing. But it's like there's got to be some sort of separation from cancel culture to people just speaking up because they're scared and they want to be heard.
Right.
That's one thing, but just trying to cancel a cartoon or
Fucking,
or
yes,
or
fucking,
they don't
what is
want to call it Jeep Grand Cherokee anymore because of the Indian culture. It's like, what is going on with life?
Like it's never been a lot of like the Speedy Gonzalez thing and calling the football team the Indians and all that stuff has been recent. Like it seems like from the time it started all the way up until like the past 5 years, maybe a little bit even sooner, is when it really kicked in. But it's like everybody just wants to say, "Oh, I was part of that. I won." And I think that's the biggest thing is people are just looking to be acknowledged.
Yeah, like I'm the one that dug up a news article about this band 15 years ago and got them canceled. Like almost like they want a badge, or this actor was quoted saying this in the 80s, and I found it, and I'm, like that's like you said, like it's like they want to say that they did that, but is that good? That's just
terrible.
the trend now. Yeah, it's the trend now.
Yeah.
That's not cool. Like, live and let live, and that's it. Like the past is the past. Leave it there,
Right.
Because some of these people that they're digging shit up, they might be trying to escape that themselves and better themselves.
Exactly.
And you're bringing up shit that happened a lifetime ago when they're trying to leave it buried because they got a family or they got a career. It's like, why? That's going to help you sleep at night by doing that?
They get to be like, I got him. Yay, I
Yeah,
won.
yeah,
Where's
yeah.
my golden sticker? Get the fuck out of here.
It's sad, man. It sucks, and I just I just hope that something revolutionary can happen with this virus, and notice, and people seeing how things could go from life one way as we know it to like really never going back to the same. Like from now on, it'll be normal to see
Yep.
a mask on
Hmm.
your face. Like that's just the norm. Like Japan's been doing it, China's been doing it forever,
And that's
and
why
we
they
would
got
look at
through it so fast, though. At the same
yeah,
time,
and we would be looking at them like, oh, they're wearing medical masks in a supermarket. Now we're doing the same fucking thing.
right? Well,
It's
some places are, other places are
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
yeah,
It's crazy, and again, we all want that normal back. Like we were saying
right,
about the concerts and about a movie theater, and even my haunted house. Like when we opened in 2020, and we did bigger spacings between groups. We did smaller groups. We made the patrons wear masks. All of our actors, we had them wear COVID masks. Now, I worked with our makeup artist to make them look interesting. So when the patrons came in the haunted house, it didn't look like we were in a pandemic where all the actors had
right.
blood on their face with fucking COVID masks. So we got creative, and it's just like yes, maybe this year it'll be a little bit different, but like our actor is going to feel comfortable getting that close to the patrons again.
Hmm.
Like, is things going to just ever kind of go back? And it's like rolling dice. We just don't know.
That
Nobody knows.
um, like a couple weeks ago on Space Zebra's podcast, Wes Borland said he's never going to travel again without a mask on for the rest of his life. And I'm
Yep.
like, I think that's going to be a big thing for people. Like, masks are going to be, that's it. Like, for the rest of their life, they're going to be masked up because, like,
Yeah.
it's crazy now. Like,
That's the thing. When we go to concerts, are the first 3,000 people on the floor that are packed next to each other? Is everybody going to be wearing a mask? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's
that's the weird thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like it may go away, but it will never really go away. At least for
right,
this in our lifetime.
right,
You know what I'm saying? Like 9/11 became history books. Like they're teaching about that now in the history books in schools. There's still even books. It's like in 15, 20 years, this is going to be part of history, like
mhm,
a pandemic. In
right.
our lifetime, it's scary, it's interesting, and it's fucking crazy.
It is. It's crazy. Yeah, there's like countries overseas that are still locked down, like fully locked down, and we're over here like removing mask mandates. And honestly, here in Ohio, it was never really like shut down
Yeah,
because like you go to the fucking store whenever you want to. You go to the mall whenever you wanted to here. Like as long as you had a mask on, like nothing really shut down here.
yeah, nothing shut down. Yeah.
It's crazy.
We were in Vegas, and when it happened, because what happened was in February the band flew out to Vegas to my house, and we got a producer to come, and we actually wrote and recorded the album in my house. I have a pretty big house in Vegas, so we recorded out there. There was like fucking. I think at one point there was like 12 of us in my house. Everybody crashed because we had a photographer, we had a videographer, we did a GoFundMe for the album to start it going, and one of the perks was that we would invite some fans to come for the weekend and stay at the house and come to the photo shoot with us, like kind of like a perk package, which they did. That a couple of people took advantage of it. So my house was pretty packed. So going from everybody enjoying themselves, the album to be done, all stoked about releasing it, and then literally the lockdown happened, and everybody went home or whatever, and then it was just me and my girlfriend. We were in Vegas, and like just to see Vegas go from crazy all the time to like everything boarded up, like
Yeah.
driving down fucking Las Vegas Boulevard, and it was like a ghost town, and it was scary. It was like that was like reality. Like holy shit, like this is really happening. Like this isn't a joke. And then here in New York, my family, everybody's saying that it's crazy, and then the shortage of toilet paper and food, and that wasn't a joke. Like I went out a couple times to get just some food, and it was like I didn't even want to go in the stores because I thought I was gonna get fucking my ass kicked
Boy,
if
yeah.
I try to get a fucking thing of milk. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, this is real life. This is shit that you see in movies, and it's happening right now.
Right. The toilet paper thing was really bad around here. Like,
Was it?
it was bad, like bad. People were on Facebook Marketplace trying to sell rolls of toilet paper to other people for like $20 a pop. I'm like, you
Wow.
people are fucking crazy, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I had I had found one package of toilet paper on the other side of the store that someone had tried to stash, and literally walking with it in my cart, people were just like looking like they were about to just fucking go after my cart, and I'm like, this is fucking like, this is a little crazy. It's a little bit out of hand.
Yeah, there was videos when it first happened. I remember, people again going down the rabbit hole at night. I'm watching all these different videos and people buying up, water, hand sanitizer, and one person was from, I think it was like Costco or something like that, Price Club. They were getting pallets of fucking water put in in the back of their van, and like one guy's like out front, and he's like, man, there's no more water. He's like, can I buy a case of water from you? And the guy's like, no, my family needs this shit. And the guy's like, come on, like there's 3 people in my family, I need 1 case of water. And this guy was being so ignorant, and all these people around him are filming this guy pretty much in tears, asking for 1 fucking case of
Yep.
water. Like, I'm like, this is the world right now that we're living in. Like, this is fucking nuts.
That is a big thing with this whole pandemic thing, was it showed the true ignorance of a lot of people.
Disgusting. It showed disgustingness of what we are, of these people, what it is. It's disgusting. I did, right when it happened, when everything hit, the homeless shelters in Vegas, they started closing, and they were putting the homeless people in these shelters. They were putting them in parking lots of the Coliseum there, and of one of the other big arena places that they had. They were setting up like in the parking spaces. They were just letting them like crash there. And I remember reading about it, and then I took a ride and I went and I seen it. And it was like the most devastating thing. Like they were closing the shelters and turning away homeless people. They had nowhere to go, and they were like literally sleeping in the fucking parking lot.
It's crazy.
It was the saddest thing. And I went and I bought. I have a picture of me in front of my car, and I bought 100 cheeseburgers. I bought 100 tacos, and I bought like a shitload of pizzas. And I went and I walked up to where the gates are, because it was gated off. Like they weren't just letting anybody go
Right.
up. If you were homeless, they were letting you in. And I remember I had all this food, and I said, can you guys, I don't want to just say, everybody here's food, because I didn't want to cause like mass hysteria, but I said, listen, here's food. Like, what can I do with this? And they're like, oh, well, you could donate, blah, blah, blah. And we had a bunch of food left over after we gave a bunch. And my girlfriend and I were driving around, and we were handing out food to people under the bridges and stuff, because it was a rough time even for people that were homeless. Like, it
Right,
was
yeah.
heartbreaking.
It's
It was
crazy.
fucking heartbreaking. Like, just fucked up world that we live in, man. People
really
do
is.
anything.
And it, like, the worst part about it was, like, it was election time, and the election really fucked with people's heads, I think.
Yeah.
And, like, it's, ugh, just ugh.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
the
best
only thing I
way
can
to describe it.
fucking, it's just ugh. Yeah.
And it's sad, and it's heartbreaking to think about. And like homeless people, that's an everyday problem. But it's like during that pandemic, it's like that. They just shut the doors to the place, and I get it because they didn't want to spread. But just to throw these people in a parking lot, it's like, holy fucking shit! Like dozens and dozens of people.
Ugh.
We live in a fucking crazy world, man.
We do.
Crazy fucking
It is a
world.
crazy world. Chat, does anybody, actually, everybody who had questions, y'all want to start dropping your questions?
Yeah, let's take some
Let's do
questions. Yeah. That time of the night.
It might take a minute. There might be a little bit of
Okay.
a delay.
Delay. Yeah. So, are you allowed to say who you're gonna have on next on the podcast?
Yes, I announced it last week, I believe. Next Wednesday, we're going to have Wes Borland on.
Oh, fucking A.
Dude, I'm so fucking
Dude,
stoked for that.
Good
Like,
shit.
I'm, like, ridiculously stoked for that.
I mean, West Borland, like,
Yeah.
that's
Uh-huh. That's what
That's great. And you know what, man? Limp Bizkit will always be a favorite band of mine. Wes
100%.
Borland is such an oddball. He is, first of all, talented as all fuck, but his creativity with those outfits and costumes are like, boop,
Oh yeah, 100%.
amazing.
Like it's nuts. And like I was saying before, I don't know if I might have said this before we started, but like it was literally like 2 days ago. I got a Facebook notification that said, well, this is my last day of work. It was from a year ago. And I
Yeah.
was like working. And then throughout this whole year, I've literally just done this. It's been Twitch. I
Yeah.
haven't had to work. I had a lot of unemployment from my job and all that, and I had money put back. So I just
Great.
stuck my fucking head into this. And now a year later, I've got a podcast. I'm getting all these fucking cool people on, and like it's crazy to think that
That's
yeah.
very badass, man. That's a very big score right there. I mean, having on, Bobby and Balls, I mean, great fucking human beings right there. Those, because Bobby was your first one, right?
Yeah,
That was your
he's
first.
that fucking dude has changed my fucking life 100%. Like the way we got hooked up, I was just starting with Twitch, and Blackcraft had just started a Twitch. And I jumped in. I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" Blah blah blah. And then like as it went on, I'd be like, "Hey, try this. Hey, try this." Like stuff that I knew about Twitch that they didn't know yet. And it
Yeah.
just like snowballed, and then I started working with them on their stream, and then it snowballed from there. And now like
Hell
we're at
yeah.
this point. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, he's great. Like you said, Blackcraft literally was built from the ground up. I remember when they did their release party at a place called Grit and Glory in New York City. Josh was there. He was still Emotionless. Chris Motionless was there. Joe Letts was there. Bobby was there, and I've known Bobby previously when he was in a band called The Witch Was Right. He was part of that band, and I just remember like just looking at the designs and the attitude about it and being like, this is gonna be really big. Like Blackcraft is gonna become something big, and now it's fucking huge.
Huge.
And he's built that from literally nothing,
Right.
and I love that and I respect that, and that's just
And
the
he's like
coolest fucking
he's
thing.
he's not like big headed about it.
No.
Which a lot of people will get to that point and they'll become like big headed, but he's all the time he's just like trying to help people out. Like these unsigned bands, like when they stream, he'll play unsigned bands and be like, check
Yeah.
these people out. It's fucking crazy. And these unsigned bands are so fucking good.
Yep, there's a lot, and it's a shame, man, because the music world is not what it was 10 years ago. You know, it's not, and it's a lot harder. But it's like
It's oversaturated.
that's just another outlet for them to check something out with the following and the gusts that he has and the buzz with the Space Zebra. It's genius. It's really good.
It is. It's awesome. And like I probably said this on every podcast almost. Twitch. It's almost impossible to make it on Twitch because at every one point in time, there's over 1 million people streaming on Twitch at every point in time. So there's no like discoverability there. So
Yeah.
you literally have to do stuff like this where you bring in people from the outside and like other areas,
Yep.
and you have to like bring the people to you, basically, is the way to do it. And they're fucking proof of that. God damn, they've got like almost 5,000 subs or some shit like that in like
Yeah,
a month.
They're cooking. They're really really good. And you know what? I'm not totally familiar with Twitch. I was on Twitch for a microscopic of a second. Last April, myself, my buddy Justin that does haunted houses, our buddy Jake who designs like lighting stage shows and stuff, and then magician Dan Sperry. Um, he's been on like America's Got Talent and all that stuff. We were all playing Fortnite because there was nothing else to do,
Right.
and we started just we started as just streaming, playing through headphones, just talking to each other, and then we started going to Jake's house with our computers and playing, and we came up with this concept called the anti-gaming gaming show, which was pretty much Jake was the genius behind getting the stream going. And what we would do is we would all be in the same room, and we would be on Twitch, and there would be 4 boxes, of us, and we'd be playing Fortnite. And he set it up so people, they come into our chat room and they can donate money, and they got a chance to spin the wheel and fuck with us during gameplay. So like one of the things was fire drill. So pretty much if somebody paid $5, the wheel spun, they landed on fire drill. We would have to get up and switch mid game, switch console.
Oh,
So
that'd be
some of
cool.
us were on PC, some of us were on,
Mhm.
some of us were on Xbox. There was Dizzy Dot where somebody would pay $3, stand up, you have to spin around 10 times, sit back down, put your headphones on, and keep playing. Or drop all your weapons and play the rest of the game with only a handgun. Like it was cool challenge. We did the cinnamon challenge. Like there was, and my point is that it started to gain some hype, but like you said, unless you're pulling from the outside
Mhm.
in, you hit a wall
Right.
because there's so many fucking things going on in Twitch.
Right. Like you've got like the Call of Duties and you've got like the Fortnites and all of that stuff, but you and 150,000 other people are playing the exact same game.
Yes,
So it's like
yes,
you can't like you could possibly make it just playing Call of Duty. It's not impossible,
no,
but it's so minuscule that yeah, especially
you,
now because people are home and
yep.
yeah.
And they're putting their money into good gaming PCs and good cameras. It's like you gotta have even podcasts. There's a lot of podcasts, but the key is you gotta have those people from the outside,
Mhm.
the guests, the interesting
Right.
conversations. You gotta have that, and then it'll just pop up.
Yes. That's the thing. It's like it has to be organic. I feel like if it's
Yes.
not organic and it's like I said before, a lot of podcasts they feel just formulaic, and it feels like it's just cookie cutter, like it's
Yep.
just the same shit all the time, and nobody wants to sit there and like, okay, yep, he's gonna ask him about this and whatever else he found on Google in the first 3 clicks, and
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like there's no, a podcast to me is like what we do. We literally covered so much shit and it just kind of flowed. And it's not an interview. A podcast is just a hangout and you just talk and you cover interesting things. And, I mean, I'm nobody high up in the Hall of Fame or anything. I enjoy podcasting when I've seen your stuff. And, like I said, I checked out the Josh Balls one and I'm just like, I like the flow of it. There's no pressure. There's no one specific thing. Like, we touched on the band and who I was, but other than that, we just talked about our love for toys and horror movies and
right.
everything else. And I love that. That's my favorite kind of
Well,
podcast.
that was my whole goal with this. Like, I didn't want to do just like like a fucking oh yep, here we go, we're gonna do but and then we're done. It's like no, it's just when it's natural, you end up getting into subjects that you wouldn't have originally gotten into, and then you end up having a 2.5 hour conversation that wouldn't have happened beforehand,
Yeah,
and then you end up finding out like, oh, you get to know that person.
yeah,
Like
that's
somebody from the
100%.
outside is like, oh shit, I didn't know this guy was into this, and this. Maybe I'll check out the rest of his shit,
Yeah,
and then like it spirals.
yeah, or they think that we're one way, and oh my god, I never knew that he liked this movie, and that like it's cool because it gives you something to learn. It's a learning experience. It's not
Right.
just two guys talking. We're figuring out about each other, and we're sharing things in common, and that to me is the fucking best part. When it's
100%.
interesting, it just flows.
100%. Nick Audio said, "What are your favorite bands? Who are your favorite bands to play with?"
I like the one kind of cool thing about Kissing Candice is the fact that we have played with so many different acts. From the smaller bands like locals, like I said, they'll put us on with emo, screamo kind of breakdown, beatdown bands to just straight up like trap metal kind of one dude screaming into a mic. So that to us has left things very loose for us to tour with and stuff. Like we did a tour with a band called Psycho Stick, which is
Mhm.
like they're metal, but it's like all jokes and gimmicks, and they're super talented, and we had so much fun. And we don't think like, oh, are their fans gonna like us? We just go out and do our thing, and if you like us, you like us. You don't, you don't.
Mhm.
Just like the Juggalo world. Like we didn't want to be a Juggalo band, but ICP heard our stuff. They contacted us to play the Gathering, and we just went out there like, listen, these Juggalos obviously they like metal because the Gathering of the Juggalos is such a diverse festival that we'll fit, hopefully we'll fit right in. And we played and we got the whoop whoop and the family chant and Fago everywhere. So like I love to answer that, it's like I love just anybody that's out of the box. Don't get me wrong. We've done Knot Fest with like Slipknot and like Lamb of God and shit like that, and those are great. But I like the out of the box stuff. Like we did a show at Waka Flocka Flame and ICP. It was their Halloween show,
Right.
and that to me was sick. It was 4 acts. It was us, this artist called Jelly Roll, Waka Flocka, and ICP. That's it. It was in Detroit. There was like 1,300 people there. It was fucking packed. And the show was just so cool because everybody was different. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like Waka Flocka was his hip hop shit, and it was so fun that it's so cool because it expands our audience, and I want everybody to like us. You know what I'm saying? I want somebody to be like, you know what? I'm not crazy about their music, but fuck, they put on a good show,
Right.
or their light show is awesome, or their production is really good. Like that to me is just as good as saying someone telling me, yo, you got a really good scream. You know what I'm saying? Like I like that. We've played with Ice-T at Canadian Juggalo Day. We drove all the way to fucking Calgary, Canada, which was a nightmare of a drive. But like we played with him, not body count, but his hip hop stuff. So it's like we have such an open end that like I would love to play with an artist like Post Malone or Angels and Airways or something where it's like completely out of the box, but it's we all come together for one thing, and that's music. That's a show. That's that escape. And if I can find that at a show with another artist that isn't metal, I'll take it.
That was like Warped Tour back in the day.
Yes.
There was a lot of variety at Warped Tour back in the day. That made Warped Tour great because there was hip hop. Eminem did the fucking Warped Tour.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
crazy.
hell yeah! It was so good, and Warped Tour, it stayed on that plane. Yes, it got a little bit more heavier, and like those popular names seem to push more forward. But like you said, back when it was like No Effects and like you said, Eminem or Blink 182 and this one. So yeah, like it's like a Warped Tour, and that's how we are. And just because we wear masks and our music is heavy, doesn't mean that we don't want to play to somebody else and open their eyes to something.
Right.
Whether it's our music or our look or our aesthetic, or just coming up to me after the show and saying, "Man, that mask is fucking awesome. Like, can I poke it?" It's like, yeah, sure. Come, let's do it. Let's get a picture. Like, I love engaging with people that would not normally listen or give us the time of day. That's my
Right.
favorite kind of person.
That actually makes me think of I thought about it earlier and I didn't remember to bring it up. Is horror conventions.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Those I don't know how those are going to end up going with this whole COVID thing. I know like there are conventions going on.
Texas Frightmare. Corey Taylor is going to be at that down in Texas. I'm curious to see what the guidelines are going to be, how they're doing it. I have the big haunted house convention coming up in May, and it was canceled last year. And now this year, they usually just keep it to usually one big convention hall, like the room at the Staples Center. This year, they actually rented out the entire place. So it's going to be stretched out. The aisles are usually 20 feet wide for traffic. They expanded it to like 35 feet or something like. So it's going to be, a bigger layout. But like you said, is it going to be the same vibe as it always is? Because everybody's usually mingling at the booth.
Yep.
Now they're saying they may not have pamphlets and flyers to hand out. Everything might be on QR codes. It's like, my favorite thing was collecting all the pamphlets from the vendors and looking at everything, like that. I want that tangible fucking that feel.
And then there's like a lot of the meet and greets now are like no touching. You can't be on the other side of the table anymore. It's like there's got to be it's like, man, it's just that's not the fucking same at all.
No.
Not even a little bit. Like getting to walk up to this person that you've seen in like all these fucking movies and shaking their fucking hand. That's like the
shaking.
Yes.
Yeah. Or taking a picture with them and not having half their face covered.
Yeah, that's another
that's not what I want. I don't want to meet Robert Englund and have just his eyes showing. Like I want him to be like, that's fucking Freddy Krueger. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I don't know. Like we have Horror Hound around here. That's our big one that we always go to.
Yes.
But I don't know. I don't think it would be anywhere near as fun that way. because you go and you meet people and you're like, oh cool, we're all into the same shit. And then
Yeah,
you go
yeah.
meet like the actors and everything. But now it's like it would just be like you're just doing this the whole time because you don't want to touch anybody, and it's like I don't think I'd want to do it.
Yeah, you're more worried about what to watch out for rather than to just go and enjoy yourself and take it all in. Now you're worried, like, did I wash my hands? No, I don't want to touch my mouth. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do I have sanitizer? Yeah, this person just sneezed. Like, oh, Peggy, I don't want to, fat cat, I don't want to worry about that. I, those are
Yeah,
things that I want, I wish would just go away.
right. And that's just like that's going to be with everything now, whether it be concerts, even movie theaters. Now it's like I just
Yeah, yeah. Somebody said Rock and Shock. We did Rock and Shock 2 years. We did 1 year on the main stage, and then 1 year on the second stage, and that festival right there was my ideal festival because it was during the day. You went to the convention center. They had great vendors, great guests. You can mingle, and then everybody at that 90% of the people that went to that fest came to the show that night. And that those people love horror. Like those people there share that same love.
mm,
And for us, it was just such a good time because we got a chance to actually do a meet and greet there. So a lot of people that either heard our name but really never looked into us, and they passed by, they saw Kissing Candice, they saw us, they came up to us, they're like, oh, we're gonna check you guys out tonight. We've been hearing about you guys, like, and kind of engaging with us. It was nice because we really tapped into the horror community,
mm.
and we were all in gear walking through with our tour manager, and we passed through the actor section, and Bill Moseley actually came out from around his fucking table and took a picture with us and was like, "What, who are you? What are you guys?" And he was talking to us about his project that he was doing with Phil Anselmo at the time. So it was just really cool because we could really jump into that world of horror, and that's where I want to be, is in that realm. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And again, the bands on that festival, one night Twisted was headlining, then the next night, Motionless in White headlined, or Soulfly or something. So it's so cool. It's so nice.
And then there was what was it? Incarceration, I think, in Columbus.
That's actually still supposedly going on.
Oh wow,
Like,
that's crazy.
for as of now, for 2021, they say they're taking new precautions and all this stuff.
Like the idea to have like a jail to tour and like go around stuff like that, yeah, but there's just gonna be too many fucking people for it to work, I think.
Yeah.
Because in order to section everything out and do it properly, I don't think it's gonna work. I think it's just people are just they want money for the most part, like the promoters, they want money because they literally don't have any income without their shows.
Yeah, yeah,
Which that's actually a good thing for some bands. Like they can do like the online shows, they can do like merch and stuff. Like certain bands can still get money right now, which is a good thing.
yes.
Like touring is a big moneymaker.
It is touring. You never really know how important it is to tour, even if it's a do-it-yourself tour, until it's taken away from you, and then you can't do it.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Then it's like, okay, wow, this sucks. And it's getting to the point where it's been, over just about a year, or just a little over a year now, and it's like, in that time span, how many bands could put out exclusive merch to sell? How many bands can release music before it's like, okay, well, we want to see it live? So it's like, it's starting to run its course where it's like, how many exclusive fucking t-shirts can you put out in a year? It's time to get back out there, but it's like for us, for Kissing Candice, it's like we want to wait until it's 100% safe, but we also want to wait till it feels like a show again.
Right.
We don't want to feel like we're in a fucking playing in a fucking hospital where everybody's got to be spread out and masked. And it's like we got to just wait till it comes alive a little bit.
You don't want to kill the vibe just to do it.
Yep, it's an escape.
Yes.
A concert or a show is an escape from what's going on out there or at home or whatever it is. So it's like, if you're implying that shit at a show, just like at a convention, you don't want to be worried about that. You want to focus on what's in front of you, the artist, the music, the show, it's an experience, and it sucks.
That's why I like doing Twitch, because it's an escape for people. Like I always tell people, like, hey, no matter what the fuck's going on, just come hang out, chill.
Yeah.
I'll fucking sit here and I'll talk to somebody, or I'll play fucking Ninja Turtles on fucking Super Nintendo on stream, and like just come chill. It's a
Bullshit.
fucking it's a place to escape. That's been a good thing about Twitch lately. Is like a lot of people have been locked in and they get stir crazy, but having some kind of an outlet is just what a lot of people have needed.
Even for that hour or two, just to get their mind off of the fucking news and the poison on fucking Facebook, man, the disease, you know what I'm saying? It's like to get that out, just talking to you, like my phone is literally like, I don't care. Like
Right.
I'm here, I'm chilling, I'm talking. Like whatever is going on, it could wait because I'm sure it ain't gonna change in an hour or two that I'm not looking at.
Exactly.
So it's like it's an escape for me too to be able to talk and not be in such a like an interview format. You know what I'm saying? Like this is just chilling. Like I'm just bullshitting with a friend. You know.
Like that's basically what I wanted to go with this whole thing. Was like I didn't want to be an interviewer.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm a fucking press guy or some bullshit like that. Like I don't have like an ulterior motive where I have to like I have a website that I got to do shit for, blah blah blah. Like no, I'm just fucking kicking it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Fuck yeah.
And like somebody had said earlier, what I've been doing is I'll take the audio off of this. I'll put it on Spotify, Google Podcast, all that shit. I'll take the video of this. I'll put it on YouTube. So it's on YouTube for people to check out. So it's like I can do this one thing and then just have it go everywhere, which is great.
Yes. And, and somebody that maybe didn't catch this interview or a couple interviews down the road, they can go to YouTube and be like, oh shit, he did fucking West Borland. He did Balls. He did Joey. He did Bobby. So it's cool that you get to kind of pluck from this and put it all over the place.
It's nice. It's
nice.
I think that's a good thing about the internet is that you can do stuff like that.
Yep.
But another thing about the internet is that it's so oversaturated that it's even with doing all of this, it's still hard to get noticed.
Yeah, it's
it's yeah.
Anything streaming, because of the lockdown. I mean, it's been hard for a couple of years, like things like, but because of the lockdown, everything is intensified, and it's like, okay, how am I gonna get noticed out of 20 other podcasters, or out of 40 other music videos that released this month? How is my music video gonna hit the algorithm? You know what I'm saying? You gotta constantly be almost one step ahead to keep ahead of the curve.
Right, like it was hard enough to do as is, but now that fucking everybody and their brother is at it now, it just makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah, and you know what? Even though stuff is slowly starting to open back up, it is, but like people are still home. Like
oh yeah,
I'm still home most of the time. Like even though things are still calming down, like I don't really go places. I don't want to take that chance because knowing my luck, I'll go do something and I'll get fucking sick that one time that I say, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it's so hard.
It's crazy. That's like, I don't know, being in the East Coast, it feels like people on the East Coast are worse about just wanting to go out and say fuck it. I feel like the West Coast has been like a little bit more lenient,
reserved,
not lenient, yeah,
like reserved, yeah. I also feel like, last 2020 it was okay, like lockdown, like this. There's no cure. Like right now, there's no immediate cure. Like there are shortages of stuff, And then the summer came, and the summer kind of went, and then the fall kind of came and went. And now I feel like it's 2021. The vaccine is there. You don't hear about the virus as intense anymore on the news and everything. So I feel like now people are starting to get cabin fever where by the summer, they're just going to say, fuck this. It's getting nice out. I don't want to be inside anymore. There's a vaccine. 50% of the population have got it. So that means that they're vaccinated. What's the chances I'm going to get sick? So I feel like people at this point are just chomping at the bit to just get out of their house.
Right. And it's, I get it.
and seasonal depression is a real thing
Oh
too.
fuck
Like
yeah, it's like
on top of it, dude. Oh my god, like
being locked into just a box with your thoughts for a year straight.
Yep.
And somebody had mentioned like that's going to be a big thing. Like all of these people that are kind of fucked up in the head right now are all going to be out and about now, and like we've already had shootings, like a couple in just the past month, and it's like
dude, scary, sickening.
Yeah.
Sickening, absolutely sick. There was just a shooting at a grocery store in Colorado a couple of days ago. I think 8 people were shot at a fucking grocery store. Like, 10 years ago it was fucking school shootings. Now and church shootings. Now it's all these other places. Now it's Asian hate, and Pac, my drummer, he's Asian, and it's like, and our other guitar player, he's darker skin. He's I don't even know how to say it. He's my own band member. I don't want to say wow. He's dark skin.
Right.
So it's like I'm looking at it from their end too, like with this Asian hate and hashtag Asian hate. It's like there's just so much shit that every month it feels like it's something different that's happening on a negative note.
Right, and you feel like after the fucking year that everyone has literally everybody went through it, you would think that people would fucking be a little bit more courteous to others, but it feels like it's just gotten worse.
Yeah, and like you said, people are coming out of this isolation like evil, like shooting and hurting and cruel and just disgusting. It's crazy. What they were down a rabbit hole for 6 months, and they come out and the first thing they do is just grab a gun and go because they're having a bad day. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's all fucking, it's crazy. It's just, but that's the world, I guess now. Like that's where we are.
Yeah. Hopefully things, fucking perk back up and again, like touching back on the show things, I hope that we do get back to a normal thing where you can go and walk up to a merch table and shake that musician's hand and say good set and not be like, oh, put a piece of plastic up in front of the merch tent so the merch person doesn't get the fuck out of here. Put them in a fucking bubble to sell a t-shirt. Like, come on, that
I feel like I don't know if it's just going to get to the point where everybody's just going to say fuck it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to happen. And
it's slowly happening. Like it is happening. Yeah, kind of happening.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like I feel like all at once it's just going to go, boom, and that's going to be a headline news. Like, 75% of the population just say fuck it.
Yep.
We can't waste any more of our precious time inside or living this just straight life. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's oh gosh. It's so
I got plans. I got touring to do. I got to visit other countries. Like I got a lot of living to do that needs to be done. Like I'm not ready to just accept that, oh well, there might not be any more traveling, or you only might be able to travel with a vaccine card. That might be like your new collect pass go collect $200 kind of thing.
Right.
Like is a vaccine card. Like who knows?
The whole world's just crazy. That's like the easiest way to put it. The whole world's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
All right, well.
Yeah.
It's been about 2.5 hours. It's been a good talk.
Great. I had a great time. When do you post this link to Facebook? How long does it take? 'Cause
I'm gonna go. I'll go through and I'll like edit it, and like I'll cut out the beginning, and then if there's like dead spots, I'll cut out the dead spots and whatnot like that. So,
like a week or so.
It'd probably be that's easy. It's probably under a week.
Okay.
Probably about 3 or 4 days.
A message or something
for sure.
Link, and then I'll repost it this way. They check it out, and I'll definitely repost you for the West thing because that's going to be a lot of fun.
I can't fucking wait.
I'm very 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 stoked for you on that.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate you being on, and reaching out and everything. It's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I love podcasts. I saw what you did, and I was like, yeah, I just want to talk, with the new album, with the new single coming out the last month or so. It's just been very, very loaded questions and to the point, and I just was like, I just want to bullshit, talk about whatever comes to mind, and just kind of just roll with it. So.
And actually, the wife just said you guys connect really well. It's that's a thing that I've been trying. That's why a lot of the guests that I've had on have been kind of in that that genre of like
Yes,
alternative,
yes.
like
Weird. We all fit into that weird
Yes.
kind of retro toys, horror kind of area.
yeah, and like eventually I'll branch out when I can, whatever.
Of course, yeah.
But
yeah,
like
yeah.
just to have a decent conversation with somebody, like you don't get that often anymore because people are really uptight.
Yes, I agree. So, yeah, no, it's been great. I'm gonna take this mask off and wash up. But listen, you got some homework. Fucking Midsummer
Yep.
and Monster Squad.
Yep.
Check those two out.
I definitely will.
Awesome, man.
All right, thanks for being. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot,
All
man.
right, see
Take
ya.
care. Have a
Yep.
good night.
Have a good night.